Chapter 356 Using Insight Defection. Good God! This was much stronger than his Mist Energy Cannon. The Mist Energy Cannon was a yellow gold tier advanced grade, and its maximum range was only 5,000 meters. On the other hand, the Chaos Energy Airdrop Gun Carriage was diamond tier elementary grade. Its maximum range reached an astonishing 50,000 meters. It was 10 times more powerful than the Mist Energy Cannon. Bai Yun, Wuxia, and the others naturally noticed the 100 Chaos Energy Airdrop Gun Carriages. They immediately realized that the Supreme Barrier could not withstand the other party's attack. After all, Kingdom Beginning City was only a white platinum tier elementary grade territory. Its city walls and Supreme Barrier would definitely not be able to withstand the attack of this diamond tier elementary grade Chaos Energy Airdrop Gun Carriage. Once these 100 Chaos Energy Airdrop Gun Carriage were successfully fired, their city walls would definitely be damaged, and many soldiers would definitely die. Just as the other party was loading the Chaos Energy Elemental Stone, howl! A divine wolf's howl sounded. Then, a blood-colored divine wolf that was 700 to 800 meters tall suddenly crossed the city wall and landed in front of the Faceless Corpse King Core with a bang. It was Wu Xin's greedy wolf avatar. Behind it, Nazario, Auguste, Maris Feng Luo, and the 100 army extermination knights jumped down one after another. Then, they either flew in the air or stood on the ground to juxtapose with greedy wolf avatar. Are you surrendering? Zhawu's gaze landed on greedy wolf avatar and Nazario before he sneered. These guys seemed to be quite strong, especially greedy wolf avatar and Nazario. They even made him feel a certain sense of danger. But so what? This was a battle between lords. In front of its 500,000 Faceless Corpse King army, these guys were just lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Surrender. You're the one who should surrender. At this moment a voice came. Zhawu looked over towards it. A young man wearing general armor and riding the warhorse, blinding light, slowly appeared between the eyebrows of the greedy wolf avatar. It was Wuxia. Why do I feel that you look a little familiar? Zhawu looked at the other party's appearance and frowned. Do you still remember Maple Forest City? I'm Great General Wuxia, whom you injured on the battlefield of Maple Forest City. Wuxia said coldly. Zhawu was stunned. As an extraordinary tier intermediate grade Scarlet Hero, its memory was naturally extremely good. With the other party's reminder, it immediately remembered who the other party was. It was stunned for a moment before sensing the other party's genuine hero aura again. Its expression immediately darkened. You're actually not dead yet. It doesn't matter. I'll just kill you again. But you're really. Wasn't it good to die previously? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhawu could no longer suppress the madness in his brain. His eyes were bloodshot, and his entire body emitted two strange auras, black and red. Then he seemed to have gone crazy. He left the team alone and charged at the greedy wolf avatar with his spear. Is this guy crazy? Seeing this scene, not only did the soldiers in Blazing Sun City think this way, but even some of the soldiers of the Faceless Corpse King Corps could not help but have the same thoughts. Only the monsters who were familiar with the Black Wind Spear Demon were not very surprised to see this scene. The Faceless Corpse King was one of them. Destroy them. Strip their skins and turn them into our companions. It roared and ordered. As soon as he finished speaking, 500,000 faceless corpses immediately held their weapons and charged at the greedy wolf avatar and the others. Even so, they did not make any sound and could only hear their dense footsteps on the ground. Feng Luo and I will block the Black Wind Spear Demon. The Army Extermination Knight is in charge of destroying the 100 Chaos Energy Airdrop Gun Carriage. Your Highnesses Nazario and Auguste, please try your best to destroy these soldiers of the Faceless Corpse King Corps. Wuxia, who had the morale of the desired military morale, quickly began to give orders. The next second, the greedy wolf avatar opened its mouth and spat out a blood-red army extermination light ball that shot towards the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhawu. Boom! The two collided in the blink of an eye. Even though Zhawu was crazy, it was precisely because of this that its combat strength increased greatly. Facing this extraordinary tier attack, it raised the Black Demon Spear in its hand and swung it forcefully. Snap! A pitch-black spear light left the spear and shot out, colliding with the army extermination light ball in the blink of an eye. Rumble! There was a huge explosion in the air, and a strange red and black sun seemed to have appeared out of thin air. The next second, Zhou actually rushed out of the center of the explosion. His entire body was wrapped in an even thicker blood-colored and black aura. His eyes were filled with madness as he stabbed at the greedy wolf avatar. The greedy wolf avatar and Feng Luo were not afraid at all. One of them fought Zhou while the other supported him. Beside him, Nazario, Auguste, and Maris had already eliminated these faceless corpse monsters in the 500,000 faceless corpse king corps. As for the 100 army extermination knights, they also rushed towards the 100 chaos energy airdrop gun carriage. A huge battle began just like that. On the city wall of Kingdom Beginning City, lines of text appeared in front of Zhou when the battle began. An official battle has been discovered. Battle mode has been activated. Virtual battlefield has been established. Battle points are being calculated. Prompt. After the battle ends, the army's battle point function will be calculated and obtained a corresponding number of battle points according to the performance of the Blazing Sun Army. When there are enough battle points, you can increase the level of the army and unlock more army functions. A virtual screen appeared in front of him. On this virtual screen, there were two colors of light spots. They were white and red. The number of white light spots was only about a quarter of the number of red light spots. It represented the Blazing Sun Army, and the red was the Faceless Corpse King Corps. There were big and small light spots, representing the strength of each light spot. At this moment, these light spots were moving on the virtual screen. From time to time, light spots would disappear from the virtual screen. Zhou also realized that he could click on these white light spots and know the details of them. He could even chat with them and issue army quests. As for the red light spots representing the Faceless Corpse King Corps, they naturally did not have these functions. Is this the function of the virtual battlefield? With this virtual battlefield function, it will definitely be much more convenient to command on the battlefield in the future. Zhou thought after reading it. Then, he did not understand more obscure functions of this army's battle point for the time being. Instead, he came to the city wall and raised his right hand to the entire battlefield, aiming his palm at them. The newly upgraded yellow gold tier lord talent, Insight Defection, was immediately activated. Boom! An invisible fluctuation instantly covered the entire battlefield. The next second, the bodies of the more than 60,000 faceless corpse monsters in the Faceless Corpse King Corps suddenly stiffened. Then the expression in their eyes changed. They turned around and attacked their companions beside them without hesitation. A total of more than 60,000 faceless corpses was not a small number compared to 500,000 faceless corpse monsters. Their sudden civil war immediately caused the Faceless Corpse King Corps, which was originally attacking together, to become chaotic. What are you doing? Are you crazy? The Faceless Corpse King also saw the internal strife in its army. It roared with widened eyes. Then, its voice was drowned out by endless killing cries. Nazario and Auguste, who were in charge of destroying these monsters of the Faceless Corpse King Corps, were not surprised when they saw this scene. They had followed their lord for a long time, and naturally knew that this was their lord's method. They did not hesitate, and continued to slaughter the Faceless Corpse King army. On the other side, after Zhou activated Insight Defection, he looked at the Lord Talent hint. Prompt. You have activated your Lord's exclusive talent, Insight Defection. Insight Defection has taken effect. Lord Talent Notification. There are a total of 33,021 Black Iron Tier Faceless Corpses, 15,542 Green Bronze Tier Faceless Corpse Elite, 8,133 White Silver Tier Faceless Corpse Elite, 3,312 Yellow Gold Tier Faceless Corpse Bosses, 1,528 White Platinum Tier Faceless Corpse Bosses, 112 Diamond Tier Faceless Corpse Lords, and 1 Extraordinary Tier Faceless Corpse Deputy Commander, has betrayed their Lord faction and become your loyal subordinate. Zhou smiled. The 12% Insight Defection ratio directly gave him 61,648 faceless corpse monsters. Among them was even an extraordinary tier elementary grade faceless corpse king deputy commander. This insight defection. Simply awesome. Chapter 357 Unparalleled Fierce General, Army Extermination Knight. Dragon Transformation. This insight defection had not been upgraded in vain. Zhou thought. In one insight defection, he directly obtained more than 60,000 monster soldiers. He had already begun to recruit more soldiers than he did from the monster ranch every day. It would be awesome if I had such an army every time I came to insight defection. Zhou could not help but think. If that was the case, he would have at least 100,000 more soldiers a day. In less than a week, the number of his soldiers would reach 1,000,000, and he would have a military strength comparable to an entire beginner kingdom. He fantasized for a few seconds before his gaze landed on the battlefield. The situation on the battlefield was a little special. Even though the Faceless Corpse King Corps had an absolute military advantage, and had a lot of experts, they were not weak either. The Greedy Wolf Avatar and Feng Luo were fighting the Black Wind Demon Spear Zhou. This Zhou was indeed an extraordinary tier intermediate grade Scarlet hero. He was actually not at a disadvantage against two of them. It had to know that it was facing two diamond tier heroes. Even though Feng Luo only had the strength of a diamond tier elementary grade, Wu Xian, with the enhancement of the Greedy Wolf Avatar, had the true strength of an extraordinary tier. Even so, the other party could still fight back and forth. It could be seen how strong the other party was. As for Nazario, Auguste and Maris, there was nothing much to say. Not only were the three of them strong, but they could also fly. Facing the Faceless Corpse King Corps, which could not fly and could only release long-range attacks like corpse fire and corpse blood-bone arrows on the ground, it could be said to be a dimensional reduction attack. Especially for Nazario, who was good at range attacks. Its all things burn ability could cause thousands of faceless corpse monsters to spontaneously combust with a thought. Moreover, the 50,000 kingdom level combat class, Violent Storm Spirit, in Kingdom Beginning City, was also constantly releasing the kingdom level combat skill, Death Storm, drawing a large number of faceless corpse monsters on the battlefield into the storm formed by the wind and lightning elementals to kill them. Every round of strangulation by more than 50,000 violent storm spirits could kill 70,000 to 80,000 faceless corpse monsters and injure more than 100,000 faceless corpse monsters. This was the power of a kingdom-level combat class. Even though these faceless corpse monsters had sturdy bodies and were not afraid of death in battle, they were at most high-level soldier types. Facing the kingdom-level combat class, the Violent Storm Demon Spirit, who was standing far away on the city wall and releasing its skills, they were completely helpless. They could not even rush to the city wall, and could only be stopped by the Death Violent Storm. Then, Zhou's gaze landed on the 100 Army Extermination Knights. At this moment, each of the 100 Army Extermination Knights rushed towards a Chaos Energy airdrop gun carriage. As an important war machine of the Faceless Corpse King Corps, the Chaos Energy airdrop gun carriage was surrounded by more than 10,000 high-level faceless corpse soldiers. At this moment, they were protecting the 100 Chaos Energy airdrop gun carriage as cannon carriages. The weakest among them was at the white-silver tier, and the strongest was already a diamond tier faceless corpse king lord. However, the Army Extermination Knight was not afraid at all in the face of such a powerful artillery formation. They held the black meteor hammers and swung them in the air, spinning continuously. As their speed increased, they actually formed a battlefield wonder that was like a black tornado. All the faceless corpse monsters near the black whirlwind were easily separated from their flesh by the meteor mace. Then they were either seriously injured or died. At this moment, the black meteor hammer in the Army Extermination Knight's hand had become another meat grinder on the battlefield. However, there were also some faceless corpse king lords who quickly thought of a way to restrain it after seeing the black whirlwind created by the Army Extermination Knight. That was to forcefully hug the black meteor hammer at the price of a portion of the dead faceless corpse soldiers. This plan had indeed succeeded. However, the Army Extermination Knight, whose meteor hammer whirlwind had been interrupted, did not care when it saw this scene. Instead, It used its powerful strength to pull its meteor hammer back. Then, he held the meteor mace in his hand and jumped into the phalanx of cannon carriages. He began to kill these high-level faceless corpse soldiers with his hammer. Giant mace technique. The huge black meteor mace was swung vigorously by the knights of the extermination army. At this moment, not a single faceless corpse soldier in the huge artillery formation was a match for the army extermination knight. Even the diamond-tier faceless corpse king lord, who personally tried to kill the army extermination knight, was easily repelled by the army extermination knight. This combat strength, it was even stronger than the meteor mace whirlwind. The faceless corpse king lord was stunned. It, a diamond tier lord tier monster, actually could not defeat a white platinum tier advanced grade human soldier with help, and even let the other party kill in its phalanx? It realized again how extraordinary the other party was. The army extermination knight's next performance told these faceless corpses what it meant to be stronger instead of the strongest. A portion of the white platinum tier faceless corpse bosses wanted to release corpse blood-bone arrows to attack the army extermination knight from afar. In the end, when the corpse blood-bone arrows they released landed on the tall army extermination knight, they were either directly blocked by their armor or only caused some skin to break on the surface of the army extermination knight's body. Then it healed in an instant. Some of the weaker corpse blood-bone arrows did not even break the skin of the army extermination knight after landing on it. They only left some white marks on its body before returning to normal in an instant. When the army extermination knight saw the effect of these attacks, it grinned, its face filled with arrogance and ferocity. Did they really think that their days in the Night Temple were for nothing? They had the virtuous Titan race bloodline, Empire-level combat talent, Ironblood combat body, Empire-level combat talent, War Madman Empire-level combat skill, Immortal Blood White Platinum tier advanced grade, Self-Restoration, White Platinum tier advanced grade, Diamond Physique, White Platinum tier advanced grade, Spirit Resistance, White Platinum tier advanced grade, Physical Damage Immunity, White Platinum tier advanced grade, Elemental Damage Immunity. All kinds of abilities were prepared for the battlefield. Just as he had displayed, every army extermination knight was an unparalleled fierce general who looked down on everyone on the battlefield. On the city wall of Kingdom Beginning City, Zhou looked at the 100 army extermination knights who easily destroyed the high-level faceless corpse monsters that protected the Chaos Energy Air Drop Gun Carriage. Then they easily smashed the 100 Chaos Energy Air Drop Gun Carriage. He could not help but smile. It's too fierce. It's like entering a no-man's land. Zhou could not help but sigh, even though he had already seen it on the Lord battlefield. However, at that time, the other party's military strength was not as much as the faceless corpse king corps, so the army extermination knight's strong performance was not very obvious. On the current battlefield, the strong performance of the army extermination knight was immediately obvious. Judging from the performance of these 100 army extermination knights, those who did not know better would think that they were heroes. As expected of an Empire-level combat class soldier, in the name of Extermination Army, it lived up to its reputation. Liu Kai's resurrection was not in vain. Not only did it bring him an extraordinary tier hero inheritance slot, but it also gave him 100 brave and peerless army extermination knights. This deal was not a loss. Zhou retracted his gaze and looked at the entire battlefield. On the current battlefield, even though the Faceless Corpse King Corps had a lot of troops, because of the internal strife caused by the Insight defection previously, coupled with Nazario, Auguste Maris, the Violent Storm Spirit, the Army Extermination Knight, and the frontal attack of the forces of Blazing Sun City, therefore, both sides were in a balanced state of war. For the time being, it was impossible to tell who was at an advantage or disadvantage. However, as time passed, with the attacks of the Violent Storm Spirit and other experts who were good at range attacks, the advantage of the Faceless Corpse King Corps would quickly dwindle. On the other hand, the experts on their side could continue fighting. When the time comes, the advantage would naturally lean towards the Blazing Sun territory. Thinking of this, Zhou nodded slightly and relaxed a little. The scales of victory are already leaning towards us. Then I'll stretch my muscles too. His heart skipped a beat as he suddenly thought of something. He would do it if he wanted to. Zhou flew into the sky first and closed his eyes to feel the bloodline power in his body. An invisible pressure gradually spread from his body, and gradually spread in all directions. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, which actually emitted an astonishing resplendent golden light. At the same time, the pupils in his eyes actually stood up into golden dragon eyes. Roar! A dragon roar shook the surroundings. Zhou was enveloped in golden light. After the golden light dissipated, a golden dragon that was 400 to 500 meters tall flew in the air. Its entire body was extremely thick, and there was a golden vertical horn on its dragon head. At the same time, its body was covered in a golden metal dragon armor, making it look like a heroic dragon warrior. Chaos human race talent, dragon transformation, racial skill golden dragon armor. Chapter 358 Moonfall. Killing Zhiwu. The golden dragon Zhou looked down at the battlefield below. When he saw the stunned Nazario and Auguste, he could not help but laugh in the voice of a dragon. It's me. Zhou used the army's battle point system to send a voice transmission to all the soldiers and subordinates. It's my lord. I thought it was His Highness Nazario and His Highness Auguste's people. Me too. The soldiers heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they revered Zhou even more as they continued to fight the enemy. My lord, you also have the bloodline of my dragon race in your body? Nazario and Lord Auguste asked curiously at the same time. Yes, I just obtained it not long ago. Zhou replied. Then, he did not say anything else and swooped down on the battlefield. Then with a bang, he landed between 100 to 200 faceless corpse monsters. The ground shook violently. More than half of the surrounding faceless corpse monsters died, and the other half were also severely injured and could not stand up to fight. After that, Golden Dragon Zhou controlled his golden dragon body to barge through the faceless corpse monsters and kill them. He did not need any equipment or skills. With the incomparably sturdy golden dragon body and incomparably sharp golden dragon claw, even casually waving them was his strongest equipment and skill now. Awesome! Zhou felt that he was playing an unparalleled mowing game. He felt so happy killing them, even though his strength was at the yellow gold tier elementary grade. After dragon transformation, a yellow gold tier elementary grade golden dragon was enough to kill diamond tier elementary grade and below, which meant, at this moment, the only enemies that could really threaten him on the entire battlefield were extraordinary tier enemies. They were the Faceless Corpse King Legion Commander and the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhiwu. However, he also knew this, so he had been fighting around Nazario. This way, even if the Faceless Corpse King Legion Commander or the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhiwu, suddenly attacked him, Nazario could save him immediately. This was also why he dared to suddenly fight. Half an hour later, under the joint efforts of the Golden Dragon Zhou, Nazario, Auguste, the Violent Storm Spirit, Feng Luo, Maris, and the other experts of Blazing Sun City, the 500,000 Faceless Corpse King Corps only had more than 100,000 Faceless Corpse monsters left. Other than the allies who had been instigated, the remaining Faceless Corpses had all been destroyed. Zhiwu returned to the army to provide support. The Legion commander gathered the remaining soldiers of the Faceless Corpse King Corps and roared at Zhiwu, who was still fighting crazily. In an emergency, it couldn't care less about the hierarchy. If they didn't hurry up and ask for help, they would be wiped out. These guys were too terrifying. Especially Nazario and the violent storm spirits on the city wall that could release death storms. The former was clearly at the white platinum tier elementary grade, but it had suppressed it, the Legion commander of the extraordinary tier intermediate grade, to the point where it could not raise its head at all. This was ridiculous. I did not know. As a dragon hero with a low-tier deity level fate level slot, Nazario's true combat strength was enough to kill an extraordinary tier elementary grade normal race hero. Even though it was an extraordinary tier intermediate grade, it was not a hero after all. It naturally could not resist Nazario. As for the violent storm spirit, even though most of its strength was yellow gold tier and white platinum tier. However, the kingdom-level combat class were extremely good at range damage. Among the 300,000 Faceless Corpse King Corps that had already died, a quarter was destroyed by Nazario, and the remaining quarter was destroyed by Auguste, Maris, Feng Luo, the Army Extermination Knight, and other experts of Blazing Sun City. The last half were all destroyed by the violent Storm Spirit. It could be seen how terrifying this kingdom-level combat class, Violent Storm Spirit, was. On the other side, Zhou Wu, who was fighting crazily, also heard the Faceless Corpse King Legion commander's cry for help. It gritted its teeth, and the madness in its eyes subsided slightly. It did not expect the 500,000 troops it brought to be inferior to the subordinates of the human lord in terms of consumption. However, it did not have time to think too much. It had to return to help first. Otherwise, if he really let a Faceless Corpse King army be destroyed here, even if it was one of the only 3 extraordinary tier heroes in the Taiyan Kingdom, it would still have to suffer a very harsh punishment. It was about to leave. However, Wu Xian and Feng Luo naturally would not allow this to happen. The greedy wolf avatar opened its bloody mouth, and a blood-red army extermination light ball quickly condensed before shooting towards Zhou Wu. Zhou Wu's heart suddenly rang with alarm. It dodged sideways and narrowly avoided the army extermination light ball. "You're courting death." Zhen suddenly turned to look at the greedy wolf avatar with a ferocious expression. But in the next moment, roar! A dragon roar sounded. It was Nazario's dragon roar. The next second, the ground suddenly darkened. Right on the heels of that, everyone suddenly noticed that a meteorite with a diameter of 500 to 600 meters fell from the sky with an incomparable pressure. It was Nazario's growth-type draconic spell, Meteorite Descent. At this moment, the entire battlefield fell silent. Then, panic appeared in the hearts of every soldier. But soon, Zhou's voice appeared in the hearts of the Blazing Sun City soldiers, telling them not to panic. That was Nazario's attack. The soldiers of Blazing Sun City immediately felt at ease. Was it His Highness Nazario's attack? Then it was fine. Soon, the meteorite flew down and landed where the Faceless Corpse King Corps Legion commander was. It was also the place where the soldiers of the Faceless Corpse King Corps gathered the most in the entire battlefield. Rumble! The ground shook violently. The illuminate of the meteorite falling spread in all directions with the landing point as the center. In the blink of an eye, it affected everything within a radius of 10,000 meters. However, Nazario had extremely strong control over his meteorite descent. This illuminate destroyed at least 70,000 to 80,000 Faceless Corpse King Corps soldiers, including the Legion commander of the extraordinary tier intermediate grade. However, not a single Blazing Sun City soldier was injured. On the other side, after seeing this scene that could be said to be destructive, even if Zhou Wu focused on the battle in front of him again, it could not help but be dazed for a second. It was this second that Wu Xian caught it. Howl! A divine wolf howl that seemed to come from the stars sounded. The world suddenly darkened. An illusory blood-colored full moon suddenly appeared in the sky and fell towards Zhou Wu. Greedy wolf moon howling arrays killing move moonfall. Zhou Wu's expression changed, and he felt a strong sense of danger. It wanted to escape, but it realized that the blood-colored moon was releasing an extremely strong gravitational force, preventing its body from moving at all. It could only watch as the blood-colored moon approached and drowned it. On the battlefield, Zhou looked at the corpses of the Faceless Corpse King Corps soldiers around him with a bored expression. What a pity! He had yet to have his fill of killing. Were all killed by Nazario's meteorite descent. At this moment, a kill notification appeared in front of him. Your subject Dragon Horse Spear General. Wu Xian used the greedy wolf howling moon array to kill the extraordinary tier intermediate grade Black Wind Demon Spear. Zhou Wu Kingdom Level Scarlet Hero. Promotion Energy plus 4 million. Loots condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your subject Dragon Horse Spear General, Wu Xian, and all the members of the Greedy Wolf Howling Moon Array, who set up the array have obtained an additional 80 million promotion energy. Your subject Dragon Horse Spear General, Wu Xin's hero biography has been updated. This battle has ended. calculating the battle points obtained by the Blazing Sun Army in this battle. Chapter 359 Biography Update. Green Bronze Tier Kingdom Army. Rumble. Zhou Zhou felt a gentle and majestic energy produced out of thin air in his heart. Then it instantly surged into various parts of his body, strengthening his body and soul. After a long time, the effect of the enhancement slowly stopped. Zhou Zhou also came back to his senses. He opened his attribute panel. As expected, he had already advanced to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Moreover, he could feel that he was not far from the yellow gold tier advanced grade. Good God! Killing an extraordinary tier intermediate grade Scarlet Hero directly gave me 840 million promotion energy points. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue. Then he suddenly thought of something and opened the virtual battlefield. He found the light spot representing Wuxia in the Greedy Wolf avatar and pulled up his information. He realized that the other party's strength had indeed increased from Diamond Tier Advanced Grade to Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade. Zhou Zhou was delighted. An Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade hero. This was the symbol of the top combat strength of the kingdom. Previously, he had none in the Blazing Sun territory. He finally had it now. Then, he looked at Bai Yun and realized that she had also advanced from White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade to Diamond Tier Elementary Grade. As for the other soldiers who formed the Greedy Wolf avatar, their strength had also increased to a certain extent. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. The death of Zhiwu, the Black Wind Demon Spear, directly fed his subordinates. He suddenly thought of something and his heart stirred. Zhou Zhou still remembered that the other party had the Extraordinary Tier Hero Inheritance Secret Manual in his body. Wouldn't he obtain a higher-level Hero Inheritance Secret Manual when he extracted the other party's loots? Thinking of this, Zhou Zhou was immediately tempted. After a few seconds, he calmed down and looked at the notification at the back. Brother Wu's hero biography has been updated. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. He had never paid much attention to this hero biography. He did not expect there to be a change at this time. He opened Wu Xin's attribute panel. Subject: Wuxia Hero Unit. Hero title: Dragon Horse Spear General. Position: Extraordinary Tier Heroes Fate Level. Territory: Blazing Sun Territory Strength Level. Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade. Ability Overview. Bloodline: Human Bloodline, Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade, 75%. Golden Dragon Bloodline, Epic Tier Advanced Grade, 25%. Skill: Loyalty, 100 Dead Loyal. Potential: Epic Tier Advanced Grade. Hero Biography: 1. He was a great general who fought countless battles for the Aurora Kingdom of the human race before becoming a hero. He protected countless human citizens and made countless fog monsters fear him. He was a horseman for his entire life and still had his heroism. Hero's personal reputation rating +1, human race reputation +2000, high continent reputation +1. 2. Under the blessing of the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance of the Dragon Horse Spear General and became the 4th generation Dragon Horse Spear General. The hero's personal reputation rating +1, human race reputation +10,000, high continent reputation +3. 3. During his tenure under the Lord of the Blazing Sun, he once controlled the Wolfy Wolfling Moonaray and another human hero to kill the Scarlet Hero, Zhiwu, Black Wind Demon Spear, and his reputation sword. Personal reputation +5, reputation, rating amongst the humans +30,000, reputation in the high continent +5. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the 3rd hero legendary tier information. What's the use of this hero biography? He asked doubtfully. Then, he thought for a moment and decided to ask the Supreme Will. In the end, the Supreme Will really gave him a reply. Supreme Will notification. The more content there is in the hero biographies, the easier it is to upgrade the hero's fate level slot. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. A hero biography actually had such an ability? Then he would have to pay more attention to this in the future. Finally, his gaze landed on the last text notification. Are we going to settle the battle points? Zhou Zhou was filled with anticipation. A moment later, a new text notification appeared. This battle has been recorded. Battle settlement completed. Your Blazing Sun Army, Black Iron Tier Army, has obtained 300 battle points. The Blazing Sun Army has been upgraded to the Green Bronze Tier Army. Black Iron Tier Army Enhancement. Braveness has been upgraded to Green Bronze Tier Army Enhancement, Braveness. The Army's battle point function has been updated. It directly upgraded to Green Bronze Tier? Zhou was a little surprised. He opened the Army interface and looked at the current Army information and Green Bronze Tier Army buff, Braveness. Blazing Sun Army, Green Bronze Tier Kingdom Army. Current maximum number of soldiers accommodated. 167, 886/1. 5 million, current battle points. 200/1, 000. Prompt. You can obtain the corresponding battle points by completing the battle. When there are enough battle points, you can increase the level of the army and unlock more army functions. Army Enhancement, Braveness, buff level, Green Bronze Tier, buff effect. Your legionaries will be even braver when fighting on the battlefield. At the same time, your overall strength will receive a 20% enhancement. Zhou was even more surprised. Even though the upper limit of the Green Bronze Tier Kingdom Army had increased to 1,000 battle points, the upper limit of the number of soldiers it could accommodate had increased from 1 million to 1.5 million. The Green Bronze Tier Kingdom Army's buff, Braveness, had also increased from 10% to 20%, increasing the strength of the Blazing Sun Army by more than 10%. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. This battle was not in vain. The gains were perfect. At this moment, the greedy wolf avatar in the distance suddenly disintegrated, revealing the 100,000 soldiers inside. At this moment their faces were pale, and their auras were very weak. Some of them could not even stand, and fell on the spot. Zhou frowned when he saw this. Then, he floated into the air and landed beside Wuxia. "Greetings, my lord," Wuxia said respectfully. At this moment, his face was a little pale even though he had just broken through. However, the smile on his face was also very obvious. "How's General Wu?" Zhou asked. There were soldiers around, so he did not call him Brother Wu like usual. "My lord, don't worry. I'm just a little exhausted. I'll be fine after resting for a while," Wuxia said. "Are the soldiers also exhausted?" Zhou pointed at the 100,000 soldiers who were also pale. "Yes. It's a little too tiring to fight that black wind demon spear, Zhou. Especially the final greedy wolf howling moon array killer move, Moonfall. It almost consumed more than half of the soldiers' essence, chi and spirit. That's why they're like this. But my lord, you don't have to worry. Let the soldiers have a good meal and go back to sleep. They'll be full of vigor the next day," Wuxia explained. Zhou nodded slightly, feeling that this battle was still a little difficult. Then he asked curiously, "Why haven't I seen General Wu use the Moonfall before?" The greedy wolf totem is extremely mysterious and contains countless mysteries. I've studied it for many days and only comprehended this array formation killing move today. That's why I used it so late. Wuxia smiled. Zhou acknowledged. So that was it. His gaze landed on the corpse of the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhou. At this moment, this corpse had already been crushed to pieces by the greedy wolf howling moon array's killing move Moonfall. Its original appearance could not be seen at all. However, Zhou was not afraid in the face of the other party's tragic state. Instead, his eyes were burning. This was the first extraordinary tier hero he had killed in his territory. He could not wait to extract loot from this guy's corpse. Thinking of this, he went to the other party's corpse and placed his hand on it with no hesitation. Chapter 360 Hero Inheritance, Ghost God General. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent Notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, Perfect Loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of Strongest Lord. The number of loots has increased by 20%. Lord Talent Notification. You have obtained Perfect Loots, 96 Epic Tier Mist Cores, 360 Origin Crystals, 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Hero Skill, Unparalleled Ghost God, 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Hero Skill, Ghost God Military Morale, 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Equipment, Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd, 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Skill Book, Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Skill Book, Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. Technique: 1 Epic Tier Intermediate Grade Skill Book, Ghost God Violent Storm. 1 Pious Tier Scarlet Crystals. 1 Epic Tier Advanced Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. 3 Green Bronze Tier Elementary Grade Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Whoosh! Zhou's corpse immediately turned into a large number of loots and dropped. Zhou was immediately delighted when he saw the loot's notification. The Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual had really become an Epic Tier Advanced Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Awesome! He suppressed the excitement in his heart and began to check the loots one by one. The first was the Epic Tier Mist Core. He had synthesized a Mist Core of this level through the Heavenly Mist treasure bag before. However, this was the first time it had dropped in reality. He took a few glances before placing the Origin Crystals, Scarlet Crystals, and the Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragment into his spatial ring. Then he looked at the 2 hero skills. Hero Skill: Unparalleled Ghost God. Level: Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Skill Effect: the Ghost God General will release its own Ghost God power and be possessed by the Ghost God. During the possession period, the Ghost God General's body will increase greatly depending on the Ghost God General's strength. At the same time, the Ghost God General's strength realm, physical defense, restoration, nerve reaction ability, logical thinking ability, lethality, and destructive power will greatly increase. Moreover, every attack of the Ghost God General will carry the power of the Ghost God during the possession period and can attack enemies further away. At the same time, the Ghost God General can ignore the negative effects of any injuries on its body during the possession period until its Ghost God power is exhausted. It can use the Unparalleled Ghost God again after the Ghost God power restoration recovers by 50%. Hero Skill: Ghost God Military Morale. Level: Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Skill Effect: the soldiers under the command of the Ghost God General will be in a state of compliance at all times during war. No matter what orders the Ghost God General gives, the soldiers under the command of the Ghost God General will obey them completely regardless of distance. During the battle, the Ghost God General and his soldiers will immediately enter the state of the Ghost God's heart. In the state of the Ghost God's heart, the Ghost God General and his soldiers will be in an absolutely calm state. Nothing can shake the minds of the Ghost God General and his soldiers. Moreover, it will greatly weaken the effect of pressure, illusion, mental enchantment, and other abilities. Zhou's eyes widened. These 2 hero skills were undoubtedly top-grade hero skills. The former could allow a hero to become a Ghost God General, who could take the head of an enemy general in an army of 10,000. The latter was a high-end version of Wu Xin's desired military morale. Zhou immediately thought of letting Wu Xian use this Ghost God military morale. As for the Unparalleled Ghost God, Zhou thought of the 10-directional martial emperor Feng Luo. This type of hero skill was a perfect match for a martial arts hero like Feng Luo. When the time comes, with the hero skill Unparalleled Ghost God and Feng Luo's superb martial arts combat skills, Zhou could already imagine how astonishing the other party's combat strength would be on the battlefield. As for level, it was not a problem. The level of hero skills represented the upper limit of their level, not the learning level of the skill. Then, Zhou looked at the 2-meter-long halberd with a black dragon and a blood dragon tattooed on it. Equipment name: Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. Equipment grade: Epic Tier Intermediate Grade. Equipment effect 1. Demon Slaying. Demon God Demon Slaying Halberd's lethality to fog monsters increases by 300%. Equipment effect 2. Ghost God Evil Spirit. When the user uses the Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd, their body will be filled with Ghost God Evil Spirit. Life forms with weak resistance will feel as if they have seen a Ghost God in the human world when they see the user. At best, they will feel fear in their hearts, and at worst they will die from fear. Equipment effect 3. Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. After the user obtains the recognition of the Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd, they will automatically inherit a combat method from the Ghost God. After mastering this combat method, it can greatly increase the combat power of the Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. Equipment Effect 4. Ghost God on Earth. Sacrifice the Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd and summon a low-tier deity-level Ghost God to reappear in the world. You will bear the consequences. What a fierce weapon! Zhou was secretly shocked after reading its attributes. He had seen more than 10,000 weapons and equipment. However, in terms of ferocity and ominousness, this demon-slaying halberd could be ranked first. Especially the equipment effect, the words, "You will bear the consequences," described by Ghost God on Earth. Just looking at them made one feel fear, as if releasing the Ghost God would cause a huge disaster. However, even so, this equipment was indeed enviable. Putting aside the last Ghost God, just the plus 300% lethality against the fog monster's effect alone tempted Zhou. This equipment has to be given to a reliable person to use. Zhou pondered. For some reason, at this moment, he thought of that child Xiaoxian. The other party's blessing of the God of Fortune might be able to deal with this ferocious weapon. However, he thought for a moment and finally dismissed this idea. Xiaoxian was still a child after all. As an adult, he did not dare to gamble, nor did he want to. At most, he would seal this weapon. In any case, no one in his territory could use it for the time being. As for the subsequent epic tier intermediate grade skill book, Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd, it was the Ghost God combat technique inherited by the Ghost God Demon Slaying Halberd. It was similar to the Dark Bone King's saber technique inheritance he had obtained previously. However, Zhou did not learn it, because the level of skill learning was too high. He would give it to anyone in his territory who broke through to the epic tier intermediate grade in the future. Then he looked at the last skill book. Skill name: Ghost God Violent Storm. Skill quality: epic tier intermediate grade. Skill description: summon a black tornado formed by the power of the Ghost God to surround the user. Any enemy who approaches the tornado will fly uncontrollably into the violent storm and be strangled to death by the power of the Ghost God, if they are weaker than the summoner. An ordinary attack skill. Zhou took a look and put it away since he was not tempted. Then, Zhou looked at the final epic tier intermediate grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Treasure name: Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Grade: epic tier intermediate grade. Treasure ability: after using it, you can obtain the hero inheritance of the Ghost God General, Sun Luo. Introduction: as a demon, the Ghost God will kill you. Ghost God General, Sun Luo. It's indeed the hero inheritance of the Ghost God General. Zhou muttered to himself when he saw that his guess had come true. Chapter 361 Ghost God General Inheritance. Military Merit Quests announced. Zhou nodded slightly. Previously, when he looked at the information of the two hero skills, Unparalleled Ghost God and Ghost God Military Morale, it mentioned the hero, Ghost God General. At that time, he thought that the Hero Inheritance Secret Manual that dropped this time was probably the hero inheritance of the Ghost God General. Looking at it now, it was indeed it. Who should I give this Ghost God General's hero inheritance to? Zhou pondered. Among his subordinates, Bai Yin, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, and Nazario already had their own hero inheritance. Even though Maris could accept this hero inheritance, it was a Divine Kingdom soldier type to begin with. Moreover, its offensive methods were all soul attacks. It did not match the close combat method of the Ghost God General. Auguste needed the dragon hero inheritance as a spectral dragon. It could not accept the hero inheritance of this Ghost God General. Zhou suddenly had a ridiculous idea. He actually did not know who to give this incomparably precious hero inheritance to because he did not have a suitable candidate for it. TSK. It was a little like Versailles. Then Zhou quickly thought of another candidate. That was the extraordinary tier Faceless Corpse King Deputy Commander he had instigated when he had just incite defection. As an extraordinary tier combatant, if he gave this hero inheritance to the other party to use, there would immediately be an extraordinary tier hero in his territory. There was no need to worry about loyalty. The other party's loyalty was reversed after all. The starting point was 89 points. In 3 days, The other party's loyalty could increase to 90 points with the help of the Peace and Prosperity Lord talent. It was comparable to half a dead loyal citizen. Still, the Faceless Corpse King's deputy commander had just arrived in his territory after all. He had no other contributions other than the civil war just now. Giving the other party the hero inheritance immediately would make the other subjects feel that it was unfair. Moreover, Zhou valued loyalty and qualifications more. The longer he followed him and made more contributions, the more he would value them. Even though the starting point of loyalty of the subjects who had just arrived in his territory was very high, Zhou was not very willing to give them a lot of benefits without making a great contribution. Zhou pondered. Suddenly he thought of an idea. He opened the army interface, opened the military merit system, and issued military merit quests. The quest's target was very simple. As long as a military professionals or combat professionals in his army had a total of 100,000 military merits, they could obtain the Ghost God General's Hero Inheritance Secret Manual for free and become the 5th hero in his territory. After Zhou assigned the military merit quests, he placed this Hero Inheritance Secret Manual in the army warehouse and set it to have had more than 100,000 military merits to exchange for it. The key words here were have had, which meant, if the military merits that soldiers once had already been spent to increase their own strength, they could also be calculated as military merits. This would also be relatively reasonable. Currently, other than generals like Bai Yin and Wuxia, the soldiers with the highest number of military merits in his army were a white platinum tier elementary grade sword shield soldier. The other party's total military merits had already reached more than 80,000. If the other party worked hard for the next 2 days, he might be able to satisfy the exchange conditions in 2 days. Zhou did not care much about such matters. It was his ability to exchange for it. If the other party was overtaken by the soldiers behind them, that was also the ability of the other soldiers. Zhou naturally would not interfere. It was a fair competition. Then, he looked at the military merit quests he had assigned and could not help but smack his lips. As kingdoms that had been established for hundreds of years, the Taiyan Kingdom and the Aurora Kingdom only had 3 heroes. He did not even establish a kingdom, but he already had 4 heroes that already existed, an empty epic tier hero inheritance, and 2 extraordinary tier hero inheritances from the Night Temple. All of this was almost brought to him by his Lord Talent. Thinking of this, his Lord Talent was indeed ridiculously strong. However, he calmed down when he thought of the hundreds of elven heroes in the Elven Empire. He still had a long way to go. It was not like he would stop developing just by developing it to a kingdom. This small result was nothing to be proud of. At the same time, just after Zhou issued the military merit quests, Bai Yin Wuxia and all the Blazing Sun Army soldiers immediately learned of the existence of the military merit quests. Their eyes immediately turned red when they saw the rewards for the military merit quests. It was actually the hero inheritance that all life forms in the world yearned for the most. As living beings of the High Continent, they naturally knew the meaning of heroes. It was also because of this that they were even more shocked by their lord's actions. If other kingdoms obtained a hero inheritance, who wouldn't be cautious and bestow it to trustworthy subordinates? However, their lord actually publicized this precious hero inheritance openly, and even gave each of them a fair chance to compete. How much trust did he have in them for him to do this? Thinking of this, the loyalty of all the Blazing Sun Army soldiers began to increase crazily. On the other side, Zhou looked at Bai Yin, Wuxia, Feng Luo, and the other generals in front of him with a smile. It's just a military merit quest. Why is everyone looking at me like that? He smiled. Everyone was speechless. You're saying that a military merit quest that concerns the hero inheritance is just a simple quest. Is this the Lord's level? It seems that we are too narrow-minded. Alright, there's nothing to discuss about this. I took out this hero inheritance just to excite our soldiers. With this military merit reward from the hero inheritance, I believe our soldiers will be even more heroic in battle in the future, and will be even more loyal to our territory. In short, the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Zhou said. Aren't the military merit requirements a little too low? It's an epic tier hero inheritance after all? Bai hesitated for a moment before saying. Zhou shook his head. Our surroundings are not safe. We can't make too many plans for the future. Therefore, if you have any means to increase your strength, it's better to cash out as soon as possible. Don't think too much about the future, he said. Not to mention anything else. Zhou did not know what the opening of the final battlefield tomorrow would be like. However, with its name and the nature of the Supreme Will, it was definitely extremely dangerous. Honestly, if not for the fact that the hero inheritance of the Ghost God General was too precious, it would be a waste to use it rashly. He wanted to use it now for his subordinates to prepare for the final battlefield tomorrow. I understand, my lord. Bai Yin nodded. Zhou acknowledged. By the way, Bai Yin, this is for you. Feng Luo, this is for you. Zhou took out the Ghost God military morale and unparalleled Ghost God skill books and handed them to Bai Yin and Feng Luo. The two of them took the two skill books with surprise. Then they were stunned when they realized that they were hero skills. Grab hold of these two hero skills well. Don't disappoint me. Zhou looked at their expressions and smiled. Yes, my lord. Feng Luo knelt on one knee. I will definitely not disappoint you, my lord. Bai Yin was the same. She was equally excited. Apart from that, she was also a little flattered. During this period of time, she honestly said that her performance was not very outstanding among the crowd. Nazario was the #1 combatant of the Blazing Sun territory, so its importance was needless to say. Feng Luo had mastered peerless martial arts, and his performance on the battlefield was also very outstanding. Meanwhile, Wu Xian was able to control the greedy wolf Howling Moon Array and control the greedy wolf avatar to kill on the battlefield. It could be said that Wu Xian had been the most glorious recently. And what about her? In front of the other three heroes, all she could do was to use her bow and arrow to silently kill more enemies for her lord, or be Wu Xin's assistant in the greedy wolf avatar. Other than that, she did not have any outstanding performance. It was also because of this that Bai Yin had been feeling guilty during this period of time. She knew that her lord valued her the most and invested the most resources in her. However, her performance was inferior to Wu Xian and the others. She was not jealous of them. However, she would feel that she was a little useless and let down her lord. On the other side, Zhou's sixth senses were astonishing. He quickly sensed Bai Yin's emotional fluctuations. He didn't say anything. He only told Feng Luo to leave first, and then looked at Wu Xian. General Wu, I didn't reward you with this reward just now. Are you dissatisfied? Zhou suddenly said. Chapter 362 Distribution. Breaking through 200,000 soldiers. My lord, don't underestimate me. How can I be such a narrow-minded person? Furthermore, ever since I joined the Overlord has done me many favors. It's all thanks to my lord that I can recover my health and even regain my youth. With such a favor, how can I be dissatisfied with the lord because of some rewards? Wu Xian said solemnly. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Wu Xian did not disappoint him. Even though Wu Xian was already dead loyal, logically speaking, even if she really did something unfair to him, he would definitely be loyal to her. There was no need for him to ask such a question. However, Zhou felt that it was precisely because the other party was dead loyal that he had to care more about his feelings. After all, they were on the same side. Even if it was insight defection, it was also impossible to induce a dead loyal citizen like Wu Xian to join insight defection. Even though those two hero skills are not bad, they either don't match your fighting style or can only be used as icing on the cake. If there are suitable loots in the future, I will naturally give them to you. Zhou said. Yes, my lord. Wu Xian said respectfully. Zhou acknowledged. Then Wu Xian saw that Zhou and Bai Yi seemed to have something to talk about, so he took his leave. Bai Yin, don't be anxious. Just do as you think. We all believe in you. Zhou looked at Bai Yin and patted her shoulder. He looked at her approvingly and then left. There were some things that didn't need to be said too much. Otherwise, it would give the other party too much pressure. Bai Yin wasn't the kind of person who would only work hard if she felt pressured. He believed that the other party had his own plans. On the other side, when Bai Yin heard Zhou words, she could not help but stare blankly at Zhou's departing figure. Then, her lord's words before he left sounded in her mind, and her expression gradually became determined. The Lord hasn't given up on me yet. If I give up on myself first, how can I live up to the Lord's nurturing? Don't worry, Bai Yin. You know how to become stronger. You know how to become Sir's right-hand man. Bai Yin muttered to herself as her expression became more and more determined. She stood on the spot for a while before returning to the Blazing Sun Army. On the way back, she saw someone waiting for her. It was Wuxia. Teacher, Bai Yin said in surprise. This is for you. Wuxia took out the greedy wolf totem and handed it to Bai Yin. Bai Yin was stunned. Why did you give it to me? She could not help but ask. I have already grasped the control method of the greedy wolf howling moon array. Even without this greedy wolf totem, I can still set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. It's even possible to create a stronger military formation. Wuxia said proudly. He was a genius in military formations. Even though the greedy wolf howling moon array was indeed profound, after he developed the killer move, Moonfall, this greedy wolf howling moon array was no longer a secret to him. Thus, even without this greedy wolf totem, he could indeed set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. Thus, even without this greedy wolf totem, he could indeed set up the greedy wolf howling moon array. She knew that her teacher was very strong and was extremely talented in military formations. In the past, due to his injuries, he lost his fighting spirit and took the initiative to hide his brilliance. Now, not only had Wuxia recovered his health, but he had also returned to his peak youth. He was no longer able to muddle through like before, and took the initiative to completely shine. But even so, to be able to grasp this greedy wolf howling moon array in such a short period of time was far beyond Bai Yin's imagination. Congratulations, teacher. Bai Yin congratulated him. Wuxia smiled and did not say anything. Then I will try this greedy wolf totem. Bai Yin took the greedy wolf totem. She looked at the blood-colored greedy wolf statue in her hand with a thoughtful expression, as if she was thinking about something. Wuxia thought that Bai Yin was worried that she would not be able to use it well. He smiled and comforted her. You have been my assistant in the greedy wolf avatar for the past 2 days. Together, we will control this greedy wolf avatar. You know all the steps. With your aptitude, you should be able to master the greedy wolf howling moon array after just one try. Don't worry too much. Bai Yin was stunned for a moment before nodding. Wuxia nodded and left without saying anything else. Teacher seems to have misunderstood me. Bai Yin thought to herself as she watched Wuxia leave. She indeed wanted to use this greedy wolf totem to increase her strength, but not by controlling greedy wolf avatar. Instead, he borrowed this greedy wolf totem to walk a path that could truly increase his strength. Her path was not a military formation. That was her teacher's path, not hers. She understood this very well. However, he only had some clues about this path at the moment. It would not be too late to tell the Lord and the others when there were real results. Then, she took out the Ghost God Military Morale skill book that the Lord had given her. Ghost God Military Morale. It should be able to help me walk the path I want. Bai Yin thought to herself. Then he turned around and left. On the other side, as Zhou walked back, he was thinking about Bai Yin. Actually, he had originally wanted to give the Ghost God Military Morale to Wuxia. But it was just as he said. Wuxia had the desired military morale to begin with. Giving the Ghost God Military Morale to the other party could only be considered icing on the cake. In fact, there was not much obvious improvement. As the official Legion commander of the Blazing Sun Army, Bai Yin was the one who needed this hero skill the most. That was why Zhou changed his mind and gave the Ghost God Military Morale to Bai Yin. At this moment, Zhou suddenly saw the deputy commander of the Faceless Corps King Corps and the remaining soldiers of the Faceless Corps walking towards him. Greetings, my lord. The deputy commander of the Faceless Corps King Corps said respectfully. How many soldiers do you have left? Zhou asked directly. Reporting to my lord, after the battle just now, we still have 41,979 soldiers left. Among them are 22,369 black iron tier faceless corpses, 10,346 green bronze tier faceless corpse elites, 6,925 white silver tier faceless corpse elites, 2,178 yellow gold tier faceless corpse bosses, 149 white platinum tier faceless corpse bosses, 11 diamond tier faceless corpse king lords, and myself. Che reported. Zhou nodded slightly. The number of casualties was still acceptable. In addition to the Blazing Sun Army, there is also a monster army in the Blazing Sun territory. It specializes in recruiting fog monsters like you. You should have seen it when you were fighting on the battlefield. Join the monster army and serve me from now on, Zhou said. Yes, my lord, Che said excitedly. Monster army. As soon as he heard this name, he knew that it suited him very well. Zhou acknowledged. He looked at the 40,000 soldiers and calculated in his heart. He realized that he already had 228,872 soldiers under his command. It had exceeded 200,000, he thought. Then, he suddenly thought of something, and a smile appeared on his face. He wondered what the expression of the king, who was far away in the capital of the Taiyan kingdom, would be when he heard that the army and heroes he had sent out had been wiped out. Chapter 363 The King of Taiyan, putting all eggs in one basket. In the royal palace of the Taiyan kingdom and the scarlet ministers looked at a blood-red jade stone placed in the middle of the hall. At this moment, this jade stone had already been broken into 3 pieces, and could no longer recover to its previous state. Zhou's life jade shattered. In other words, he has already died at the hands of that human lord. The faceless corpse King Corps didn't send back any news either. They probably died there. Do you have anything else to say? King Taiyan looked at the scarlet ministers with a dark expression. Disbelief appeared on the faces of the scarlet courtiers. But when they looked at the blood-red life jade, and felt the genuine aura of Zhou on it, their expressions became solemn again. Your Majesty, has this news been confirmed? Did our general, Zhou, really die at the hands of that human lord? Your Majesty, has this news been confirmed? Did our general, Zhou, really die at the hands of that human lord? Previously, he had told His Majesty that he was just a lord of a myriad race. Moreover, he was a lord of a human race. He could easily get a general to bring some soldiers to deal with him. At that time, King Taiyan insisted that General Zhou bring the faceless corpse King Corps. Even though he did not say anything on the surface, he felt that His Majesty was too cautious. He did not expect to hear the news of General Zhou and the faceless corpse King Corps being destroyed together today. How could he not be shocked? At the same time, it and the other officials felt very heavy in their hearts. Scarlet heroes were an important combat force of a kingdom. It could even be said to be the pillar of the country. As a beginner-level Crimson Kingdom, the Taiyan Kingdom only had a total of 3 such pillars. As a beginner-level Crimson Kingdom, the Taiyan Kingdom only had a total of 3 such pillars. Even though they really didn't like the lunatic Zhou, the importance of the other party was there. No matter how much they disliked it, they did not want the other party to die so carelessly. It was that human lord who did it. Before the faceless corpse King Legion commander died, he sent back the scene of their battle. If you don't believe me, you can go take a look yourself. The human lord doesn't have many troops, but they're all elite soldiers. Moreover, they have endless experts. They're completely comparable to our kingdom's top army, King Taiyan said. Then, he looked at the ministers and suddenly sneered. Previously, you said that I was too cautious. Now the hero I sent and the 500,000 strong army were all destroyed by that human lord. What else do you have to say? That's our scarlet hero and an entire faceless corpse King Corps. Towards the end, the Taiyan kingdom roared angrily in front of the officials. The ministers were silent, as if they were exchanging pleasantries. Otherwise, His Majesty wouldn't be so angry. However, who would have thought that a mere human lord could actually develop to the extent of being able to resist or even destroy their own army in half a month. At this moment, King Taiyan was still panting heavily. He looked at the ministers angrily, clearly still angry. After a long time, "What do you think?" King Taiyan's voice calmed down. "Your Majesty, this matter concerns the destruction of our Scarlet Heroes and the Faceless Corpse King's army. We have to take revenge. Previously, we underestimated the other party's strength. That's why we suffered such a huge loss. Now that we know how strong the other party is, there wouldn't be any accident for us to deal with him seriously." The military affairs chancellor stood up and said, "But what about the main battlefield with the Aurora Kingdom? Even though we don't want to admit it, that human lord is indeed powerful. If we want to defeat him with an absolute advantage, we have to transfer some troops to that human lord from the frontal battlefield. But we're about to force the Aurora Kingdom to a dead end. If we retreat now, won't we be giving them a chance to catch their breath?" Another minister objected. That human lord only used half a month to develop to such a powerful level. If we let him continue to develop, wouldn't he become another Aurora Kingdom in the future? Therefore, I feel that we have to deal with that human lord first. That's right. Don't think that just because the lords of all races have just started to develop, their threat is small. How can it be so simple to be chosen by the lord of all races, who is valued by the supreme will? No, conquering the Aurora Kingdom is our Taiyan Kingdom's 100-year plan. If we stop now and let the other party recover at this time, wouldn't all our previous efforts be in vain? The Scarlet Courtiers argued endlessly. King Taiyan, who was sitting on the throne, was also very hesitant. After a long time, it took a deep breath. "I've decided. Let's deal with the Aurora Kingdom first. After dealing with the Aurora Kingdom, we'll do our best to deal with that human lord. I have a premonition. If that human lord grows up, his threat will not be inferior to the Aurora Kingdom. So this king has decided. Gather all the troops and war resources of our Taiyan Kingdom. From now on, launch a full-scale attack on the Aurora Kingdom." It held up 2 fingers. 2 days. I want to take down the capital of the Aurora Kingdom in 2 days, and see that old man Li Yuangan's head. You can only win this battle. You can't lose. It said resolutely. Yes. The ministers were shocked by His Majesty's decisiveness. They did not expect a lord of the human race to force him to make such a huge decision. "Your Majesty, what if that human lord continues to attack our territory?" A minister asked. "Get the surrounding lords to defend against the other party's attack. We'll stall for as long as we can. If it really doesn't work, there's no harm in giving it all to the other party. After I deal with the Aurora Kingdom, I can free up my hands to deal with the other party. At that time, it'll make him spit out as much as he can eat now." King Taiyan said coldly. The ministers clicked their tongues. His Majesty would actually make such a desperate decision? However, under this huge change, there would also be great opportunities. As long as they could survive this period of time, and successfully take down the Aurora Kingdom, and that human lord, the development of their Taiyan Kingdom would completely enter the acceleration channel. Becoming an intermediate-grade Crimson Kingdom was just around the corner. By the way, do you have a solution to the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower that appeared on the main battlefield recently? King Taiyan suddenly said, while the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower had just appeared in the city of the Aurora Kingdom, there were very few of them. However, after using it once or twice, they realized how powerful and terrifying this Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower was. If the Aurora Kingdom was really equipped with a large number of Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Towers, the situation of the 2 countries on the main battlefield would definitely be rewritten. Therefore, it had already become a thorn in the side of the Taiyan King and the other Scarlet Ministers. "Your Majesty, we have found the source of the Diamond-tier elementary-grade Aurora Kingdom Tower and have formulated a plan. If nothing goes wrong, there will be news tonight." The military intelligence minister stepped forward and said respectfully. The King of Taiyan nodded. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, the sky had already darkened, and even the scarlet fog had begun to fill the air. On the battlefield of Kingdom Beginning City, Under the operation of the 10 yellow gold tier advance grade Conqueror's blast furnaces, a large number of spoils of war had already turned into 10 small mountains that were 30 to 40 meters tall. Zhou was deep in thought when he saw this. It was time to buy more Conqueror's blast furnaces. Under the operation of the 10 Conqueror's blast furnaces, it took nearly 5 hours to completely extract all the spoils of war from the corpses of more than 460,000 faceless corpse King Corps soldiers. After half a day, other than constantly transporting corpses to the Conqueror's blast furnace, the soldiers did nothing else. It was a waste of time. Originally, he had planned to conquer the ownerless Scarlet Lord territory on the map that Wuxia had given him yesterday. From the looks of it, there was no time left. Moreover, after today's battle and transporting corpses, the soldiers were physically and mentally exhausted. They also needed to rest to prepare for the counterattack of the final battlefield tomorrow, and the Taiyan Kingdom that could arrive at any time. Let's see if there's time tomorrow to obtain a territory token to increase the level of the territory. Zhou was looking forward to it. Half an hour later, Bai Yin walked over with the statistical battle list. Zhou took it and looked at it. Chapter 364 Group Advancement. Lia's death. The 460,000 corpses of the faceless corpse King Corps were enhanced by the titles of the King of Lutes and the Strongest Lord. There were a total 140 Epic Tier Mist Cores, 3,120 Extraordinary Tier Mist Cores, 65,430 Diamond Tier Mist Cores, 162,350 White Platinum Tier Mist Cores, 1,018,920 Yellow Gold Tier Mist Cores, 1,507,810 White Silver Tier Mist Cores, and 2,951,360 Green Bronze Tier Mist Cores, 620 Origin Crystals, 1,204,210 Skill Books, and 1,257,960 equipment. More than 2,060,000,000 units of basic materials. 248,963 True Faith Tier Scarlet Crystals, 151,601 Pious Tier Scarlet Crystals, and 62,130 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals. 54 Alchemy Pharmacist Recruitment Books, 35 Alchemy Technician Recruitment Books, 120 Mount Contracts, 6 Empire-Level Combat Class Army Extermination Knight Classification, 12 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Apart from the above loots, in this kingdom-beginning city defense battle, after eliminating more than 460,000 faceless corpse King Corps soldiers, a total of 137,628 people broke through. Among them, 52,639 people were promoted to Black Iron Tier Intermediate Grade and Black Iron Tier Advanced Grade. 40,213 people advanced from Black Iron Tier to the Green Bronze Tier. 25,487 people advanced to the White Silver Tier. 15,975 people advanced to the Yellow Gold Tier. 3,314 people broke through to the White Platinum Tier. In addition, Nazario had broken through to the White Platinum Tier Intermediate Grade. Bai Yin had broken through to White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Soul Reaper Maris had broken through to White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Spectral Dragon Auguste had broken through to Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade. Then, Zhou looked at the summary of the strength of the soldiers at the bottom of the loot list. Now he had a total of 143,256 soldiers from the Blazing Sun Army and the Monster Army under his command. Among them, there were 55,487 Black Iron Rank soldiers. There were 68,190 Bronze soldiers. There were 58,134 Silver soldiers. There were 39,578 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers. There were 7,471 White Platinum Tier soldiers. 11 Diamond soldiers. 1 Extraordinary Tier soldier. Zhou nodded in satisfaction when he saw the name list. This was only a breakthrough on the battlefield. When he returned to Blazing Sun City later and passed through the Triumphal Arch, it would be another wave of improvement. A moment later, the battlefield was completely cleaned up. Zhou Zhou led all the soldiers and returned to Blazing Sun City through the spatial teleportation array. Then, he led all the soldiers through the triumphal arch again, and another 30,000 soldiers broke through. However, most of the soldiers who broke through were at the yellow-gold tier and below white-silver tier. There were only a dozen or so soldiers who had broken through to the white-platinum tier level, so there was no need to elaborate. Just as he was about to return to the Lord Manor and upgrade all his yellow-gold tier elementary grade skills to the yellow-gold tier intermediate grade skill book, Aaliyah suddenly reported to him that Li Ya's maid, Yu Qiao, had come to find her. Yu Qiao? Just herself? Zhou Zhou was stunned and asked. Yes, my lord. Aaliyah nodded. Then, she hesitated for a moment and couldn't help but say, Yu Qiao doesn't know what happened. Her eyes are red. She won't say anything no matter what I ask. She only said that she wants to see my lord. Yu Qiao's eyes were red? Could it be that the little girl who usually smiled sweetly and mischievously was crying? For some reason, when Zhou Zhou heard this news, his heart skipped a beat. At this moment, Li Ya's figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Could it be? Without any time to think, Zhou Zhou immediately walked out of his room and quickly walked out of the Lord Manor. He saw Yu Qiao standing there alone, looking at him with red eyes. Big brother Zhou, the princess has been assassinated. When Yu Qiao saw Zhou Zhou, it was as if the tense string in her heart had finally been broken. She could no longer control her emotions and burst into tears. The cries were desperate and moving. When Zhou Zhou heard this news, he was stunned. Leah was assassinated. The girl who was always thinking about saving her country. Dead. However, he quickly remembered that he had a way of revival, and immediately regained most of his composure. Zhou Zhou quickly walked up to Yu Qiao and grabbed her shoulder, making her look at him. Don't cry. I have an idea. Tell me, when was Leah assassinated? Zhou Zhou asked. What he didn't notice was that even though he knew that he had the means to revive the other party, there was an irrepressible anger and ruthlessness in his voice. An invisible pressure spread out, making Zhou Zhou's surroundings as cold as an abyss. However, this pressure cleverly avoided Yu Qiao. Otherwise, Yu Qiao would probably be crushed to death by his pressure in an instant. Her Highness was assassinated about half an hour ago. Yu Qiao didn't see the other party clearly. However, Yu Qiao heard from the Ministry of Justice that the assassin is an assassin from the top assassin organization in the Taiyan Kingdom, the Shadow Puppet Society. The Shadow Puppet Club's shadow puppet fiends can hide in the shadows of life forms and wait for an opportunity to assassinate their targets. The people from the Ministry of Justice said that the assassin hid in Her Highness' shadow. When Her Highness wasn't paying attention, he suddenly appeared from the shadow and pierced Her Highness' heart from the back, causing Her Highness to die immediately. Then, he snatched Her Highness' spatial ring. Yu Qiao cried as she spoke. Spatial ring? What was in Li Ya's spatial ring? Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and remembered the 1,000 diamond tier aurora crystals he had given the other party this morning. Could it be that the other party was here for the aurora crystal? That's not right. Zhou Zhou suddenly realized something, and his expression turned ugly. The other party was here for the diamond tier elementary grade Aurora Kingdom Tower that he had sold to the Aurora Kingdom. With that thought, it made sense. Only items that were related to the outcome of the war between the two countries would make the Taiyan Kingdom suddenly attack the princess of the Aurora Kingdom. Zhou Zhou fell silent. This was not the most important thing. Most importantly, Li Ya's heart had been pierced by an assassin. He had thought that if Li Ya's body was 70% complete, and her brain and heart were not destroyed, he could ask Carol Moeli to revive her with the small resurrection spell. However, Li Ya's heart had been pierced, so the minor resurrection spell was useless. The only way now was to find a Holy Spirit-level Faith Divine Crystal and use the Great Resurrection spell to revive the other party. As for whether it was worth it, Zhou Zhou had never thought about it. Leo was a friend he acknowledged. If he wanted to save his friend, so be it. There was no bullshit reason like whether it was worth it or not. If he had done everything from the perspective of benefits, he would not have used Bai Yun until now, and always regarded her as his most valued general. He would not have given the calamity-crossing spirit pill to Nazario after obtaining it, instead of giving it to Auguste, so that its strength could be raised to the yellow gold tier advanced grade. Zhou took a deep breath and looked at the sky. There was still about half an hour before the sky turned completely dark. There was still time. At the thought of this, Zhou immediately turned to look at Bai Yin, Wuxia and the others. Wuxia, Nazario, Che, bring 500 white platinum tier soldiers, and follow me to the Aurora Kingdom. Yes, the three of them said in unison. Bai Yin, before I return, you will be in charge of protecting the territory. I'll leave behind a bloodbat avatar. If you encounter any emergency, you can contact me through the bloodbat avatar. Zhou knew that the other party had already obtained the greedy wolf totem. In times of danger, he could control the greedy wolf avatar, and possessed the peak combat strength of an extraordinary tier. Therefore, he was very confident in her defense of the city. Moreover, he still had returned to the city. If he encountered danger, or when the final battlefield started tomorrow, he could immediately bring everyone back to reinforce the city through return to the city. Therefore, he did not have to worry about anything happening during the time he was away. Then he made some arrangements. After everything was arranged, he looked at Yu Qiao. You know how to find Li Ya's body as soon as possible, right? He asked. I do. Yu Qiao immediately said. She had already treated Zhou as her last straw to clutch at. Take me there. Yep. Chapter 365 to the Aurora Kingdom's capital. High up in the sky on Nazario's back, Zhou, Wuxia, Che, Yu Qiao, and 500 white platinum tier soldiers were standing there. Nazario, who was already at the white platinum tier intermediate grade, was already more than 600 meters tall. It was naturally easy for him to carry more than 500 people. The spatial teleportation array is there. At this moment, Yu Qiao suddenly pointed at a spot below. There was no need for Zhou to speak. Nazario automatically retracted his dragon wings and dove towards the spatial teleportation array below. As for Zhou and the others, they did not feel like tilting at all under the strange force. Soon Nazario was getting closer and closer to the spatial teleportation array. Everyone also saw the spatial teleportation array clearly. 2 teams of yellow gold tier soldiers were guarding here. The leader was a white platinum tier advanced grade Aurora Knight, riding on a white horse. When he saw Nazario swooping down and the people on his back, his expression suddenly changed. Just as he was about to call for everyone to defend. At this moment, General Wu, it's me. Yu Qiao shouted, and took out a white jade token from the brocade pouch at her waist. The Aurora Knight was stunned. Then he took out a white jade token from his chest. He saw that this white jade token was currently emitting a faint gentle white light. Boom! Nazario landed heavily on the ground. However, the people behind it did not feel any bumps. General Wu, please quickly activate the teleportation array to Sunshine City. Yu Qiao held the token and said. The Aurora Knight with the surname Wu did not hesitate when he heard this. He directly asked the soldiers to open the spatial teleportation array and adjust the array. The adjustment of the array formation was completed in no time. Yu Qiao, the spatial teleportation array is ready. You guys are going to, General Wu hesitated. Then, Nazario carried them directly to the teleportation circle. Right on the heels of that, the teleportation circle lit up, and Nazario, Zhou, and the others immediately disappeared. General Wu was dumbfounded. He directly rode a pure-blooded dragon to Sunshine City. The spatial teleportation array of Sunshine City was in the city. Wasn't Yu Qiao and the others afraid of causing panic? At this moment, he couldn't help but think of the outstanding young man standing on the dragon's back. The other party should be the leader of this pure-blooded dragon race. Who is he? He actually made Yu Qiao, who had always followed the rules, do such a reckless thing? Yellow Gold, Tier Regional Territory Sunshine City. Zhou had once come here to purchase Aurora crystals. However, he had come obediently last time. This time, his appearance alarmed the residents of the entire city. When Nazario, who was more than 600 meters tall, appeared in Sunshine City, all the subjects in the city were shocked. Panic followed. Fortunately, Wuxia took out the token in time and informed the city lord of Blazing Sun City, Wu Balian, who had rushed over. When Wu Balian found out about this, he immediately sent someone to inform the crowd. Then he looked at Zhou Zhou and nodded. So it's because of the princess. That really can't wait. Go to Shilua City. It'll apply to the capital so that your journey will be smooth, and you won't be questioned too much, he said. Even though he knew that Zhou Zhou and the others wanted to go to the capital, there was nothing he could do. The spatial teleportation array in their kingdom did not have the kind of teleportation array that could lead straight to the capital. Therefore, if he wanted to go to the capital, he could only teleport to the capital like now. However, Wu Balian looked at Zhou Zhou, who was standing on Nazario's back, as well as Wuxia and Qi, and the 500 white platinum tier soldiers behind him. The corners of his mouth could not help but twitch. If you want to go to the capital, then go to the capital. Can you not do such a thing? Look at how frightened your subjects in Blazing Sun City are. Those who know will think that you're going to the capital to help. Those who don't know will think that you're going to attack the capital. Wu Balian complained. It was true. Under Zhou Zhou's feet, Nazario, Wuxia, and Qi were all extraordinary tier combatants. If they wanted to cause trouble in the capital, unless the heroes of the Aurora Kingdom made a move, no one would be able to control them. Wu Balian's words made sense. However, when Zhou Zhou heard this, he only said lightly, I just want to protect myself. You don't trust us that much? Wu Balian was speechless. Zhou Zhou looked at him and said seriously, Leah died in the capital. City Lord Wu, do you really think that the capital of the Aurora Kingdom is still safe? Wu Balian was stunned. Then he thought of something and his expression changed. Zhou Zhou glanced at the other party and roughly knew what he was thinking. There was probably a spy from the Taiyan Kingdom in the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. Otherwise, how could Leah have easily spread the news of the origin of the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Kingdom Tower? How could she have been arrogantly assassinated by the shadow puppet demon in the capital? To Zhou Zhou, the capital of the Aurora Kingdom could be said to be a rather dangerous place. That was why he brought Wuxia, Nazario, the ruler, and 500 white platinum tier soldiers to protect himself. Of course, even without Leah, based on Zhou Zhou's personality, the first time he came to the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, he would arrange some protective measures for himself. It was just that he wouldn't be as arrogant as he was now. In Wu Balian's silence, Zhou Zhou and the others used the spatial teleportation array to arrive at the next city. In the next hour or so, Zhou Zhou and the others kept going to and fro the various spatial teleportation arrays. After passing through 16 spatial teleportation arrays, they finally arrived at the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. In the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, the rain continued to drizzle. Some of the subjects in the capital walked quickly in the rain, while others strolled leisurely in the rain, enjoying the current weather. However, most of the subjects in the capital were whispering at this moment, discussing the major events that had happened today. Have you heard? His Majesty's only daughter, Princess Fingyu, was assassinated and died. How could this be? Doesn't that mean that His Majesty does not have any more descendants? That's right. Sigh, thinking about it, His Majesty is also pitiful. He is clearly conscientious and worrying every day. He only wants to fight for a good future for the kingdom, but his children have left him one by one. They either died on the battlefield or were killed by the assassins of the enemy country. Now His Majesty has become alone again. Now that our kingdom is surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, and now that His Majesty's children have all died, could it be that the heavens want us to perish? Don't talk nonsense. Wait, what's that? That's a dragon. Just as the subjects in the capital were having mixed thoughts, a crimson dragon, more than 600 meters tall, suddenly appeared outside the capital. It was Nazario. It looked down at the subjects in the capital before retracting its gaze. Then, after Zhou Zhou and the others jumped down from its back, it spread its dragon wings and flew into the sky to circle around. Chapter 366, it'll give you the entire Aurora Kingdom. Even though there was a no-fly zone in the capital, with Nazario's strength, that was comparable to an extraordinary tier hero of the normal race, it could naturally ignore it. However, the capital was not a normal place after all. Zhou did not want to be too rude and make everyone here panic. So he asked Nazario to fly into the sky and observe his location in the capital. It would not be too late to save him if anything happened to him. At the entrance of the capital, when Zhou, Wuxian and Qi arrived, they saw a guard standing there early. When he saw them, he hesitated for a moment before walking over quickly. "Are you the Lord of Blazing Sun City?" His gaze lingered between Zhou and Wuxian. Wuxian had already returned to his youthful appearance. If he was not an old man, he would not be able to recognize the current Wuxian. As for Qi, the faceless corpse king lord, he did not find it strange. In this world, there were many extraordinary tier people who had the means to control the fog monsters. Some were temporarily controlled, and some were permanently controlled. Therefore, he was not surprised that there was a fog monster beside them. "That's me," Zhou said. "His Majesty has been waiting for a long time. Please follow me." The guard looked at Zhou for a long time before nodding. Then, he began to lead the way for the two of them, and Qi he actually remembered Zhou's appearance before he came. However, Zhou's appearance and temperament had undergone an obvious optimization after he obtained his talent, celestial appearance. Therefore, he did not recognize him for a moment. He only barely confirmed it when Zhou spoke. A moment later, Royal Palace. In the Fengyu Palace. This was Li Ya's princess bedroom, and Fengyu was also Li Ya's princess title. When Zhou and the others arrived, they saw an old man with white hair and beard lying in a crystal coffin, looking at the woman inside in a daze. It was the current emperor of the Aurora Kingdom, Li Yuangan. Seeing this scene, Wuxian, who was beside Zhou, trembled. "Your Majesty," he cried out. After saying that, he immediately realized that he had been rude. He immediately knelt on one knee to Zhou in shame. His true lord was beside him now. How could he call someone else his Majesty? Zhou shook his head and reached out to help Wuxian up. "You've worked with the king for decades. You look like a monarch and subject, but you're actually brothers. So what if you subconsciously call him your Majesty when you see him like this?" "I'm not someone who doesn't know how to be human. There's no need to do this," he said. He still trusted his dead loyal subjects very much. Naturally, he would not blame Wuxian for a mere "Your Majesty." "Thank you, my lord," Wuxian said gratefully. At this moment, when Li Yuangan heard Wu Zin's voice, he also looked at him shakily. "You are Xiao Wu." His voice was hoarse. At this moment, his eyes were dim and lifeless, and his face was filled with wrinkles and age spots. He did not look like the wise and benevolent king rumored by the people. "Why are you like this?" Wu Zin's body trembled again, and he could not help but ask. He little Wu, you've become younger." "It's good to be young, it's good to be young. When I see you, I think of the time when the two of us rode together. How high-spirited we were then." Cough cough. Li Yuangan's voice was very weak and low, as if a gust of wind could blow it away. Towards the end, he coughed softly. He was really too weak. He was so weak that he almost had no strength to cough. "Your Majesty, how did you become like this?" Zhou also frowned. How could he not tell that this king of the Aurora Kingdom was probably at the end of his rope? However, according to his previous understanding, even though King Li Yuangan was already old, he was still energetic. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with so many things every day. "I just sent all my Aurora Kingdom energy into my daughter's body. I want her to open her eyes again and call me Father." Li Yuangan muttered. "Aurora Kingdom's energy? What's that?" Zhou was puzzled. At this moment, Wuxian approached and explained in a low voice. "My lord, the Aurora Kingdom's energy is the origin energy of the Aurora Kingdom's human race. However, only the Aurora Kingdom humans with extremely pure bloodlines can master this energy. And the essence of the Aurora Kingdom's energy is actually the lifespan of the Aurora Kingdom's human race. The king probably wants to give his lifespan to Princess Leia in an attempt to revive her." At this point, Wuxian sighed. "But she's already dead. What's the point of inputting his lifespan now?" You must be the Lord of the Blazing Sun, Zhou, whom my daughter often mentions, right? The appearance of a dragon and phoenix, the pride of a celestial. No wonder my daughter likes you so much. What a pity. My daughter is already dead. At this moment, the decrepit Li Yuangan looked at Zhou and said. After saying that, he staggered and fell to the ground because he was weak. I have had 4 sons and 1 daughter in my life. They were all destroyed by the war. Yet I'm still alive. The war. What did it bring us? He muttered to himself in a daze. Zhou did not answer. To Li Yuangan, he was the answer himself, and did not need anyone to answer him. He silently walked over, and came to the side of the crystal coffin. He looked at the figure sleeping quietly in the crystal coffin, and suddenly felt pity and hatred for war. But so what? He was just a pitiful worm involved in the war. All he could do was take care of himself, the people he loved, and the people who loved him. If possible, then he would do his best to constantly become stronger. So strong that he could end this war, that would affect all races in the future. And then, returning to the hometown that he had been thinking about. Your Majesty, give me Li Ya's corpse. I can resurrect her. Zhou suddenly said. The Fengyu Palace was silent for a while. Really? Li Yuangan trembled as he came in front of Zhou and grabbed his shoulder. I've already revived many people. If your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can send someone to my territory to take a look. Li Ya is my friend. I won't let her die like this. Zhou said. Li Yuangan looked at him. Suddenly, he laughed out loud, his voice shaking the entire Fengyu Palace. He did not look like an old man on the verge of death at all. After a while, the laughter stopped. Li Yuangan looked at the drizzle outside. He suddenly made a decision. Lord of the Blazing Sun, if you can revive my daughter and avenge her, I'll give you the entire Aurora Kingdom. How about it? His dim yellow eyes were actually staring at Zhou like tigers and wolves. Chapter 367 Information from the Urgent Order Soldier. In the Fengyu Palace, Zhou was not the only one who did not react when Li Yuangan said this. Even Wu Xian and Che Qi were stunned. He was willing to give up the entire kingdom personally, as long as he saved one person's life? What kind of dream king was this? Really? Zhou was silent for a few seconds before asking. He did not say that he did not accept it. This was a kingdom-level remuneration? Which fool wouldn't accept it? Of course. Li Yuangan said without hesitation in the face of Zhou's question. Your Majesty, can you specify your request? Zhou asked. Okay. Actually, it's just as I said. On the one hand, you have to revive my daughter without any problems. On the other hand, I'm not asking you to destroy the entire Taiyan kingdom to avenge my daughter. As long as you can destroy the Shadow Puppet Society in the Taiyan kingdom, this condition will be fulfilled. After completing the 2 above conditions, I can bring you to the location of the Aurora Kingdom's kingdom token and let you occupy it. You can become the new Aurora Kingdom king, or whatever king you want to be. How is it? Are you satisfied? Li Yuangan stared at Zhou as he spoke. If others heard his words, they would definitely think that Li Yuangan was crazy. How could he believe that Zhou really had the ability to revive Li Ya and avenge her vendetta? However, Li Yuangan felt that this handsome young man with an extraordinary aura in front of him could do this. This confidence was not without reason. He had just learned something before Zhou arrived. The troops sent by the Taiyan kingdom to attack the Blazing Sun territory suffered an unprecedented defeat. Not only was the 500,000 faceless corpse king corps collectively destroyed, even the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhou, whom he had high hopes for, had died in the hands of this lord in front of him. That was a genuine extraordinary tier Scarlet hero. Only 3 could be found in the entire huge Taiyan kingdom. Moreover, every Scarlet hero was regarded by the Taiyan kingdom as the extremely important foundation of the country. Now he was killed by a lord of the human race, who had just arrived in the high continent for more than half a month. How could this not be unbelievable? However, that was the truth. It could be seen how strong the Lord of the Blazing Sun was. This was only the Lord of the Blazing Sun, who had developed for more than half a month. What if he gave the other party another half a month, half a year, or even a year? Then it might be easy to destroy the Tang kingdom. This was also the reason why Li Yuangan dared to make such a condition. He believed in Zhou Zhou's future. It was precisely because he believed it that he made up his mind to give the kingdom away to save his daughter. On one hand, it was because the Aurora Kingdom was the greatest capital he had. He believed that Zhou Zhou would definitely be tempted. On the other hand, it was because of Li Yuangan himself. He was a little tired of war. He, who no longer had children, wanted to hand this burden to a reliable human junior. Zhou Zhou naturally met this condition perfectly. Then I promise you. Zhou Zhou agreed without hesitation after confirming that the other party was not lying. He had the intention to save Li Ye to begin with. Now there was also a huge benefit. No one would refuse. Still, Zhou Zhou could not help but look at Li Ye, who was sleeping in the crystal coffin. He wondered what she would think when she found out that the price of his resurrection was the entire kingdom. On the other side, when Li Yuangan heard Zhou Zhou agree, he seemed to have unburdened himself and heaved a long sigh of relief. Even though he was conscientious and worthy of the responsibility on his shoulders when he was the king of the Aurora Kingdom, however, it was fate. Not only did the Aurora Kingdom not get better, because they were surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, but their situation also became more and more difficult. The news he heard every day in the palace was either that some territory had been captured, or how many soldiers they had lost, and how many subjects had died. Towards this, Li Yuangan, who loved his people like his children, had actually been suffering in his heart. If the Aurora Kingdom could be controlled by the Lord of the Blazing Sun in front of him, no, it should be said that the future king of the Blazing Sun would be in charge. Its situation would definitely be much better, right? Li Yuangan thought leisurely. Then he saw Zhou Zhou looking at Li Ye. His gaze was filled with worry and concern. Li Yuangan smiled. His daughter had not liked him for nothing. If little Ye revives, marry her. Li Yuangan suddenly smiled. Zhou Zhou was stunned for a moment before shaking his head without hesitation. I don't have any plans to get married yet. Li Yuangan could not help but persuade him further. But he stopped seeing Zhou Zhou's determined expression. Just as he was about to talk about something else, his vision suddenly darkened, and his body swayed about to fall. Zhou Zhou was quick to react, and immediately supported the other party. Your Majesty, you don't have much time left. Don't be too excited. He frowned. He thought for a moment, and took out 2 blood honey king cakes from his spatial ring, and handed them to the other party. Your Majesty, eat these 2 desserts first. It can help you recover and increase your lifespan. It can also allow your body to recover to its peak. Li Ye's resurrection is not a problem. Don't be gone when Li Ye revives. Like little Wu? After Li Yuangan regained his consciousness, he looked at the 2 desserts that emitted a strong fragrance, and said in surprise. Zhou Zhou acknowledged. What do I need to exchange for such a precious treasure? Li Yuangan said. There's no need to exchange. Take it as a gift from me. Zhou Zhou shook his head. It was just the blood honey king cake, not the blood honey royal cake. It was not worth mentioning to him. Li Yuangan smacked his lips, and was surprised by Zhou Zhou's generosity. However, he did not say anything and took it and ate it on the spot. A moment later, Li Yuangan, who had already recovered to his middle-aged appearance, held a mirror and looked at his young self in it. He felt his energetic body and was stunned. He had really recovered to his peak state. The dessert given to him by the Lord of the Blazing Sun was really so magical. He looked at Zhou Zhou again, and suddenly felt that he had become unfathomable. No wonder he could destroy the faceless corpse King Core, and kill the Black Wind Demon Spear, Zhou Wu, causing the Tang Kingdom to suffer such a huge loss. A casual move was already so extraordinary. Your Majesty, since the matter is settled, I won't stay any longer. I have something important to do in my territory tomorrow, so I have to return to my territory immediately. If your Majesty doesn't mind, I want to bring Li Ye along. This way, when I can revive her, I will immediately revive her. Zhou Zhou said. It's already so late, and the world is already filled with scarlet fog. Why don't you stay for the night before leaving? Li Yuangan said. There's no need. I have a way back. Zhou shook his head. Li Yuangan saw his determined expression and looked at Li Ye in the crystal coffin. In the end he nodded. At this moment, report. An urgent soldier with 9 command flags on his back rushed into Fengyu Palace and knelt on one knee. Your Majesty, the Diamond Tier regional territory, Ziyu City has been captured. The 4-armed Mara King, Taro and the Ice Soul Arrow Demon. Wuxia is leading the 6 armies of the Taiyan Kingdom to attack the capital with a total of 13 million fog soldiers. They've already broken through many territories along the way, and more than 100,000 soldiers have died. With their marching speed, they will probably arrive outside the capital city in 2 days at most. The soldier said anxiously. Is the Taiyan Kingdom crazy? 2 million fog soldiers. Don't they care about the other territories under their command? Li Yuangan, who had just recovered to his peak, frowned. Even though he was shocked and even a little panicked when he heard this news, he naturally would not show it in front of others with his shrewdness. Zhou also narrowed his eyes. For now, yes. It's precisely because the Taiyan Kingdom has extracted most of the troops from the various territories in the country that they can gather so many troops. The soldier said, This is going to be done in one go. Zhou raised his eyebrows. Chapter 368, Intimately Interdependent. Zhou's anticipation. Is there anything else? Li Yuangan asked. Not at the moment. Then leave. Report to me immediately when you have the latest information, including but not limited to the real-time location of their advance, the change in military strength, the offensive route. This king has to know everything at all times. Li Yuangan was a little panicked at first, but he had completely calmed down now, and immediately ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. The soldier immediately said and retreated respectfully. Nephew, what do you think? Li Yuangan turned to Zhou and said, Your Majesty's kingdom is going to perish. Zhou thought for a moment and said. Li Yuangan was speechless. Then he shook his head. You're really direct. Then nephew, do you have a way to break out of this situation? He asked bluntly. How many troops does His Majesty have now? How are they compared to these 2 million fog soldiers? Zhou asked. Diamond Tier regional territory. Ziyu City is the main battlefield where we fought the Taiyan Kingdom previously. We've arranged a large number of troops to guard that place. Now that that place has been breached, I'm afraid all the soldiers guarding there have been sacrificed. In addition to the number of deaths mentioned by the urgent soldier just now, I still have about 500,000 troops under my command. In terms of combat strength, our 500,000 Aurora Kingdom soldiers are similar to the 500,000 fog soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom. Li Yuangan thought for a moment and said, The difference in military strength is too great. I have no choice. Zhou shook his head. Li Yuangan did not say anything. He just stood on the spot and pondered quietly. A moment later, I have an idea, he suddenly said. Then he looked at Zhou. I will send all the troops of our kingdom to resist the fog army of the Taiyan Kingdom. During this period, the internal territory of the Taiyan Kingdom will definitely be empty. If you attack now, you will definitely be able to take the opportunity to occupy a large number of territories and cause the Taiyan Kingdom to suffer heavy losses. At that time, if the Taiyan Kingdom chooses to retreat, the Aurora Kingdom's predicament will naturally be resolved, and you will obtain a large number of benefits. What do you think? Li Yuangan asked. What if the Taiyan Kingdom doesn't choose to return to aid them? Zhou asked. If the Taiyan Kingdom doesn't choose to return to help, it can only mean that the fate of tomorrow isn't with our Aurora Kingdom. At that time, I would have no other way out. I will go to the battlefield myself and die on the battlefield guarding the kingdom's territory with the soldiers. Li Yuangan said coldly. Their Li family's children had all died because of the war. So what if he was at it? Zhou praised him in his heart. There was a reason why this emperor could be praised by countless Aurora Kingdom citizens, not to mention other advantages. This courage alone surpassed many emperors in history. I understand what Your Majesty means. However, I might not be able to go to the Taiyan Kingdom to conquer their empty territory immediately tomorrow. I just mentioned that something big will happen in our lords tomorrow, so I might not be able to care about the Taiyan kingdom. Zhou Zhou said. He still did not know what would happen in the final battlefield tomorrow. Therefore, it was not good for him to agree to Li Yuangan's request. Li Yuangan fell silent. After a while he smiled. It's fine. When the time comes, we just do our best to do what we should do. Leave the rest to fate, he said. He had no other choice even though he felt a little helpless saying that. He had done his best. Zhou Zhou did not say anything. He stood on the spot and pondered quietly. Not far away, Wu Xian and Che Qi were also thinking of a way to break out of the situation. Li Yuangan shook his head when he saw this, feeling that there was not much hope. The difference in military strength was too great. All strategies were useless in the face of absolute strength. Forget it. He only hoped that he could kill more soldiers of the Taiyan kingdom in the next 2 days. Li Yuangan thought to himself. Your Majesty. Zhou Zhou looked up at Li Yuangan. Why? Li Yuangan asked. Your Majesty can secretly transmit the internal emptiness of the Taiyan kingdom to the Titan kingdom in the north and the Netherbark kingdom in the east. At that time, they will definitely send troops to the Taiyan kingdom to take one's share of the loot. At that time, the 3 forces would be gathered in the Taiyan kingdom. If the Taiyan kingdom did not withdraw their troops and return to help, the destruction of the country would probably only be an instant. When the Taiyan kingdom withdraws their troops, the Aurora kingdom's predicament will resolve itself. Zhou Zhou said. Li Yuangan frowned and thought for a while before shaking his head. What if the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom invade the Aurora kingdom instead of the Taiyan kingdom after I spread the news? Our Aurora kingdom looks weak and easy to bully compared to the Taiyan kingdom after all. At that time, our Aurora kingdom will be destroyed faster if the 3 countries attack together. We might not even be able to last a day. Zhou Zhou shook his head in the face of Li Yuangan's doubts. That won't happen. It's precisely because the Aurora kingdom is weak that the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom will leave your Aurora kingdom alone and invade the Taiyan kingdom. Because even if the Aurora kingdom survives, it won't pose any threat to them. On the contrary, if the Taiyan kingdom's invasion is successful and their strength increases greatly, the next targets will definitely be the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom. There's a phrase in my hometown, intimately interdependent. This is the logic. Therefore, I'm certain that the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom will definitely invade the Taiyan kingdom after they find out. Even if we take 10,000 steps back and say that the commanders of the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom are all useless people. They just want to share the Aurora kingdom. They didn't expect the consequences of the Taiyan kingdom becoming stronger. The Taiyan kingdom won't sit back and do nothing. Now that the Taiyan kingdom has already taken such a desperate move, how can they allow other factions to share their food with him? Not to mention the faction of the Supreme Will. At that time, the Taiyan kingdom will help you deal with the invaders of the Titan kingdom and the Netherbark kingdom. Li Yuangan fell into deep thought. A moment later, he looked up at Zhou Zhou and was even more surprised. He was really a natural talent. This military perspective that jumped out of the predicament to look at the overall situation was simply born for the world of the high continent. It was rumored that this Lord of the Blazing Sun had an extraordinary lord talent. However, after hearing what he said just now, Li Yuangan was certain that he could still rise in this world even without his lord talent. Apart from that, I can also add another aid to your Majesty. Zhou Zhou pondered for a few seconds and said again, what kind of help? Li Yuangan was a little curious. Let me keep you in suspense. However, I'm afraid my subordinates and I will have to stay at His Majesty's place for the night. When the army of the Taiyan kingdom attacks tomorrow, please tell me their location and time, and let me take a look at the main battlefield. At that time, His Majesty will naturally know my methods. Zhou Zhou smiled. He was naturally talking about the insight defection that he would refresh tomorrow. That was more than 2 million fog monster army. If this wave of insight defection came, how many subordinates would he have out of thin air? Okay. Li Yuangan agreed without hesitation. However, his curiosity did not weaken. It became even stronger. I'll go to the main battlefield with you tomorrow. Even this king has only experienced such a huge battle that concerns the life and death of the country a few times in my life. At that time, I can see with my own eyes what your help is. You want mine, right? Li Yuangan smiled. Sure. Zhou nodded. The insight defection caused too much commotion. It was not easy to hide, so he did not have any thoughts of hiding it. He could see it if he wanted to. In this world, it was not a disadvantage to show off more of his strength and methods. Then, the two of them chatted for a while before Li Yuangan went to prepare for the battle tomorrow and secretly transmit news to the Titan Kingdom and the Netherbark Kingdom. Zhou was also led by a maid to his residence to rest. Your Majesty, Li Ya's death. Zhou wanted to remind the other party before he left, but before he could finish, a cold glint flashed across Li Yuangan's eyes. You want to talk about the traitors in the capital, right? This king has already cleaned it up. Zhou was stunned for a moment before nodding to himself. While others were not stupid, and would naturally think of what he could think of. He turned around and left with the maid without saying anything else. Wu Xian, Che-Chi Nazario, and the 500 white platinum tier soldiers he brought would also have their own residences. Chapter 369. The final battlefield is about to start. In the capital of the Aurora Kingdom, in the Tianhe Palace. This was one of the top 5 palaces in the palace. Li Yuangan had arranged for Zhou to live in it. In the palace, Zhou stood in front of the crystal coffin and looked at Li Ya. After a long time, he waved his right hand and put the coffin away. Then, he came to the entrance of the hall and quietly looked at the drizzle outside. Amidst the pattering rain, Zhou gradually calmed down. At this moment, a line of blood-red text notifications suddenly appeared in front of him. The final battlefield will officially begin at 6 a.m. tomorrow. All lords who are interested in participating in the final battle, please enter the battlefield on time. For more information about the final battlefield, please check the Lord Battlefield, the final battlefield option. Zhou perked up. There was finally movement in the final battlefield. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock? Zhou thought as he opened the Lord Battlefield. Then at this moment, he saw that the final battlefield, which had been showing a grayish-white color previously, had already lit up at this moment. Moreover, strange patterns of blood and fire surrounded the words. He clicked his tongue in wonder, and clicked on the final battlefield. The battlefield had yet to open. However, a rectangular blood-colored caption suddenly appeared. Zhou looked over. Prompt. Please log in after 6 o'clock tomorrow. The following is a description of the specific activities in the final battlefield. 1. The final battlefield is a chaotic battlefield for lords of all races. On the final battlefield, all lords of all races enter with their true bodies. Once they die, they will not be able to revive unless they have a resurrection tool. 2. The lord can bring all the subordinates of the territory to the final battlefield. Non-territorial subordinates and items cannot be brought to the final battlefield. 3. After lords of the myriad races log into the final battlefield, they can plunder all their ranking points by killing other lords. After the end of the final battlefield, the ranking points could be calculated. After the calculation, it could be converted into his ranking on the Lord Battlefield. Lords of different rankings will receive a gift bag from the final battlefield after the battle ends. 4. The battlefield area of the final battlefield will gradually shrink as time passes. Lords outside the range of the final battlefield will automatically clear all their ranking points, and will gradually be deprived of their vitality and die. 5. There are extremely rare items on the final battlefield that can be obtained, but all final items are guarded by fog monsters, and can only be obtained by killing fog monsters. The final battlefield was divided into 2 categories. One can only be used on the final battlefield, while the other category can be brought into reality. They may be resources, equipment, cards, subjects, special building blueprints, race divine artifacts, strange items, ranking points books, and so on. Zhou carefully read through the 10 activity instructions of the final battlefield. His gaze fell on the 3rd activity description. There was no doubt. This event description was the most important. As long as you kill the lords of the other races, you can plunder all the ranking points on them. And ranking points can be converted to ranking after the event ends. I want to check my ranking points, Zhou said. The next second, a text notification appeared. Your lord rank is Mythical Tier Advanced Grade, 160 points. Value of Mythical Tier Advanced Grade, 10 billion ranking points. 160 points worth, 6 billion ranking points. Your basic ranking points for the final battlefield are 6 billion yuan. Zhou looked at the astonishing number of ranking points and fell into deep thought. Therefore, if he was accidentally killed by another lord, even if none of his subordinates died, and he was the only one who died, his 6 billion points would all belong to the other party. At that time, it would be settled in 3 days. The other party directly became a lord with 160 points as a mythical tier advanced grade, or even higher. Good God! In the fat sheep. At the thought of this, Zhou's face darkened. However, he also realized the meaning of the existence of the final battlefield. If the Lord battlefield is only to test the strength of the lords of the myriad races, in that case, the final battlefield is not only a test of strength, but also a test of the Lord's luck, experience, and mentality. This is a test of the Lord's ability in all aspects. It can make a lucky low-level lord stand at the top of all lords in the blink of an eye. It might also make a powerful lord lose everything in the blink of an eye, making everything he has become the growth food of other lords. What a dangerous final battlefield, Zhou frowned. In the face of the final battlefield, even though he had the mentality of wanting to fight for the strongest lord of the myriad races, he was a little afraid. After all, even if he didn't go to the final battlefield, he was still a mythical tier advanced grade lord. After the settlement, there would also be his own mythical tier advance grade the final battlefield gift bag. If he went, what if he was unlucky and encountered the number 1 true lord or great one lord? What if he was eliminated? Even with Carol Moella's resurrection ability, he wouldn't die. However, his ranking would also be instantly cleared to 0. The accumulation of all his previous lords on the battlefield would also disappear. If it really came to that, his heart would ache to death. Thinking of this, Zhou could not help but hesitate. A moment later, he gritted his teeth. Go! There's already a huge gap between me and the other top lords of the myriad races. If I don't seize every opportunity one come across, after the original spirit race, the chaos gods race, and the dragon race grasped the power of their civilization, it will be even more impossible for me to catch up to them. When the time comes, as the Lord struggles for supremacy develops, the gap between me and them will only grow larger and larger. In the end, my subjects and I will either die at their hands, or enslaved by them. Even if there are other outcomes, I don't think it will be any better. If that's the case, then let's give it a try. Let's take a look at the final battlefield. Zhou made up his mind. However, even though he had already made up his mind to barge into the final battlefield, he knew that if he really encountered something unacceptable on the final battlefield, he would not force it. Seize all the opportunities in the final battlefield within his capabilities, including the operation in the final battlefield. After thinking it through, Zhou calmed down. He opened the world channel and looked at what the other lords of Cerulean planet were talking about. Not surprisingly, they were all discussing the matter of the final battlefield tomorrow. Chapter 370, Going to the Snow River City. Fuck. The final battlefield? No, it's time to escape. This wonderful sense of déjà vu. I'm going to take out my camouflage uniform. Old silver coins plus Voldemort mode activate. To think that you guys still have the mood to joke. This is a matter of life and death. How is this a matter of life and death? You can choose not to go. If I don't go, I'll fall behind the other lords. What's the difference between that and death? Are you guys going to the final battlefield tomorrow? Go. In any case, I can enter and exit at will. It's just that I'll have time to prepare. It's not a big problem. I'll treat it as seeing the world. If I'm lucky and encounter a few heavily injured lords of other races, I'll kill them and obtain their ranking points. Then I'll directly take off. I think so too. With the strength of my territory, it's too difficult to slowly rank up on the Lord battlefield. The other people of foreign races on the Lord battlefield are all abnormal. I'm at my limit. However, the final battlefield is different. This place doesn't just test strength, hee. I already have a premonition that a group of old silver coins and Voldemorts will appear on the final battlefield. In any case, I don't plan to go. I'm already at the green bronze tier elementary grade. I've completed the basic goal of this event. Why should I go out and have a death wish? I don't plan to go either. There are so many opportunities in the high continent. I don't believe that without the benefits of the final battlefield, I'm weaker than the lords who participate in the final battlefield. Me too. Regardless of whether you guys are going or not, I plan to go anyway. Forget it. I'll go to the marketplace to buy some supplies first to prepare for the final battlefield tomorrow. That's true. I'll go take a look too. In the territory of the Insect Queen Lord. At this moment, the Insect Queen Lord was also reading the activity description of the final battlefield. After reading it, her half-human half-insect body trembled in excitement. The Lord's true body will enter the final battlefield? The lords of the myriad races who can survive until now are all extraordinary. There must be a large number of lords of intermediate and high-level races among them. If I kill them, how many bloodline genes of high-level races will I obtain? My Zerg gene bank will definitely expand greatly because of this. At that time, I'll be able to nurture stronger, more capable, and more promising subordinates of the Zerg. Ha 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 ha. The final battlefield is simply a supreme treasure land prepared for me. The more the insect mother lord thought about it, the more excited it became. She looked at her territory. More than 200,000 strange-looking insects were densely covering the ground, as far as the eye could see. However, they were not very strong even though there were many of them. Most of them were at the black iron and green bronze tier. White silver tier ones were rare. This was because it would take more and higher energy to create insects above white silver tier. With the level of the planet it had conquered, it could not satisfy its needs for the time being. After collecting all the resources on this planet, it's time to go to the next planet. As she thought about the final battlefield, she also thought about her future developments. The Dragon God Lord's territory. The final battlefield. What a coincidence. It's a good opportunity to test out the fallen king dragon I've just summoned from the giant dragon mystic realm. The Dragon God Lord thought. Then, he looked at a 1,000-meter-tall mountain in the distance. Actually, it wasn't a mountain peak. It was actually the spine of the fallen king dragon, resting there at the moment. The appearance of the final battlefield undoubtedly ignited the flames of ambition in the hearts of countless lords. The billions of lords among the lords of the myriad races began to rub their fists in preparation for the opening of the final battlefield tomorrow. On the other side, Zhou also turned off the world channel. Even though the lords were discussing, most of them were arguing over whether to go or not. However, it was obvious that there were far more lords who wanted to go than lords who did not. Those who could survive until now were all capable lords. Those who were capable would usually not let go of the opportunities they encountered. The final battlefield was undoubtedly a huge opportunity. After all, the lords on this battlefield were all participating with their real bodies. Furthermore, they definitely brought shocking war resources to prevent them from losing because of insufficient firepower. Under such circumstances, once they killed an enemy lord, even a weak lord could obtain a large amount of resources. Unlike the lord battlefield, after the battle, the corpse would automatically disappear. Other than the promotion energy, not even a strand of hair would fall out. In addition, he could freely log into and out of the final battlefield. Many lords would have the confidence to charge into the final battlefield. As for the danger, wasn't the high continent dangerous anyway? Lords had seen many dangers. Naturally, they would not choose to retreat just because there was danger. The final battlefield will probably be a meat grinder for the next 3 days. Zhou looked at the drizzle outside and thought. At this moment, he saw that Linger and Nong Qinglin had also sent him a message. The former asked if he wanted to participate in the final battlefield, while the latter said that he would listen to Zhou orders. If Zhou asked him to participate in the final battlefield, he would go. Zhou thought about it, and replied to linger first, asking her if she wanted to go herself. What surprised him was that Linger actually wanted to participate in the final battlefield herself. Lord of the Blazing Sun, are you confident? Spiritual Medicine Lord. My strength has increased a lot during this period of time. I also have some opportunities. I think I might be able to give it a try. Big brother, what do you think? Lord of the Blazing Sun. Then give it a try. Let me know if you need anything. Spiritual Medicine Lord. Thank you, big brother. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Go and prepare. Spiritual Medicine Lord. Okay. It's good to try more things out. I can't protect you all the time. Zhou thought to himself. Then he replied to Nong Qinglin, telling him not to participate in the final battlefield. In addition, he got the other party to prepare some food and send it to Blazing Sun City. Now that the number of soldiers and subjects under his command was increasing, his need for food was also increasing. Fortunately, Nong Qinglin, the lord of a subordinate territory with the agricultural expert lord talent, had already built a large amount of farmland in his territory and produced a large amount of rice-type food. Some of these grains were purchased by their Xinjiang territory, while the rest flowed into the market from Sand Gold City. Due to its excellent taste and rich nutrition, it was already somewhat famous in the Aurora Kingdom. Nong Qinglin even found Zhou for this rice and asked him to give it a name. Zhou had eaten this kind of rice before. Without much thought, he named it Blazing Sun Rice. And so, the first specialty of Jiaoyang City, the Blazing Sun Rice, was born. Speaking of which, after chatting with Linger and Nong Qinglin, Zhou found Wuxian again. Then, through the Bloodbat avatar, he told Wuxian and Bai Yun, who was far away in Jiaoyang City, about tomorrow's the final battlefield. The three of them chatted until midnight before going to rest. The next day, 3 o'clock in the morning, Zhou woke up early. HR walked out of Tianhe Palace after washing up. He saw Wuxian, Qi, and Li Yuangan, who had recovered his youth, waiting for him. Your Majesty, Zhou said politely, the monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom has reached the Diamond Tier territory, 350,000 kilometers away from the capital, Snow River City. Snow River City is currently being defended. Let's go now. Li Yuangan went straight to the point. Zhou nodded. Then, the three of them and the monster led the soldiers to the location of the spatial teleportation array. Chapter 371 Insight Defection that surprised Zhou. 1. Snow River City. Zhou and company had just walked out of the spatial teleportation array when they heard deafening battle cries and cannon fire outside. Among them were the monsters of the monster army and the soldiers from Snow River City. At this moment, Snow River City's city lord Zhangzhe had already received the news that the Aurora Kingdom's king was about to arrive, so he had been waiting here for a long time. When Li Yuangan, Zhou, and the others appeared from the spatial teleportation array, the other party immediately walked over. Greetings, Your Majesty, City Lord of Snow River City Zhangzhe. Zhangzhe said respectfully. He was wearing a snow-white official uniform with golden edges. His face was kind, and his hair was black and white. There were obvious wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. He was clearly old. At that moment, the elder one looked at Li Yuangan in front of him with a surprised expression. According to the news from his friends in the imperial court, after His Majesty found out that his only daughter, Princess Fingyu, had been assassinated, he was very depressed. In less than a day, his hair and beard had turned white. After he learned of this news, he was originally very worried about His Majesty's physical and mental condition. However, when he saw His Majesty in front of him now, how was he like what his friends said? Not only was his hair jet black, but his skin was also glowing. He even looked much younger than before. If not for the fact that he had followed His Majesty for decades, and was certain that the emperor in front of him was the one he was familiar with, he almost thought that His Majesty had been replaced. At this moment, Li Yuangan saw his old minister looking at him in surprise. Naturally, He knew what the other party was surprised about. Even though he was experienced, he could not help but feel happy. Restoration was good. How long has the war been going on? How's the war going? He didn't think too much about it. Li Yuangan asked directly. The battle had just begun. However, the enemy has a large number of forces, and is very well equipped in all aspects of war. Even though I ordered everyone in Snow River City to become soldiers, and barely gathered 200,000 soldiers, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold them off for long. Your Majesty, it's too dangerous here. I feel that as long as Your Majesty is safe, the Aurora Kingdom will never be destroyed. Therefore, I implore Your Majesty to prioritize the king's physique and the kingdom, and return to the capital to oversee the rear. Towards the end, Zhang Zhe said solemnly. Li Yuangan shook his head. I know your intentions, but I have my own plans. By the way, I brought a young friend with me this time. Where is he? He looked at the spot beside him, and realized that Zhou Zhou, Wu Xian, and Che Qi had already left. Your Majesty, I'm on this side of the wall. At this moment, Zhou Zhou's voice sounded in Li Yuangan's mind. Mental communication? He still had such a strange method. Li Yuangan was surprised. Then, he told Zhou Zhou's location. When Zhang Zhe heard this, he immediately brought his emperor to the city wall of the Snow River City. On the walls of the Snow River City, when Li Yuangan and Zhang Zhe came up, they saw Zhou Zhou standing in front of the city wall, and looking at the battlefield outside. They also looked over. All kinds of fog monsters that were like a vast sea surged over from all directions, surrounding the Snow River City, and attacking continuously. At this moment, the Snow River City gave Zhou Zhou the feeling that it was a lone boat sailing on the boundless sea. It was possible that they would be blasted into the bottom of the sea by accident. The tsunami formed by these 2 million fog monsters and die. Zhou Zhou secretly held his breath. Was this the pressure of a million-level war? Previously, he had seen the scene of 500,000 faceless corpse King Kor besieging Kingdom Beginning City. At that time, he thought that his endurance was already strong enough. However, when he saw the scene in front of him, he realized that his knowledge was still a little lacking. Compared to these 2 million fog monsters, 500,000 was really nothing. As for the 200,000 militia that Snow River City barely managed to gather, they were even less intimidating on the battlefield. Defeat. It was only a matter of time. Your Majesty, since you're here, I'll leave the command of this place to you, Zhang Zhe said respectfully. In his early years, he had followed Li Yuangan to battle everywhere. Naturally, he knew that His Majesty's military talent far exceeded his own. Seeing this scene, His Majesty would definitely take over the command. However, to his surprise, Li Yuangan shook his head. Then his gaze became resolute. There's nothing to command. All soldiers and citizens, let's fight to the death. His voice was cold. All the living beings who had fought with the fog monster knew, other than a few factions that were willing to accept captives and traitors, most of the factions would not show mercy to the living beings of the high continent. Once the war started, the outcome was either defeating the fog monster faction and surviving, or being killed by the fog monster faction. It was almost impossible for the fog monster faction to pity him and let him leave, or surrender to the fog monster faction and survive. Therefore, Li Yuangan did not hesitate at all. In any case, they would die if they fought, and they would die if they surrendered. Then what reason was there to not fight to the death? Zhang Zhe naturally knew about this matter, so he agreed without hesitation. Then, he sent someone to the soldiers to convey His Majesty's intentions. At this moment, Li Yuangan suddenly looked at Zhou Zhou. The meaning in his eyes was very simple. Where's the help you promised yesterday? Zhou Zhou also saw the other party's gaze and naturally knew what he meant. He smiled and said, Your Majesty, please allow me to send my soldiers out of the city to fight. Also let my soldiers enter and exit Snow River City freely. Don't let the Supreme Barrier stop us. That's your soldier. You decide. Li Yuangan said. Then he'll find the right time to open the city gate later. At that time, your soldiers can rush out. Zhang Zhe immediately added. He became curious. What did His Majesty and this young man want to do? There's no need to open the gates. Zhou shook his head. Then, he looked at Wuxian. When Wuxian saw Zhou's gaze, he immediately got the 500 white platinum tier soldiers he had brought over. After seeing the 500 white platinum tier soldiers, Li Yuangan had long known of their existence, so he was not surprised at all. However, Zhangzhe was very surprised. 500 white platinum tier soldiers. Even in the entire Aurora Kingdom, it was considered a powerful force. This young man seemed to be extraordinary. What was he going to do? In a while, you'll jump off the city wall and charge into the battlefield for 30 breaths. In 30 breaths, immediately return to the Snow River Giant City and come to me. Take care of your own safety. There's no need to kill too many people in this battle. The most important thing is to protect yourself and return safely. Zhou ordered. His insight defection could only be used when his forces fought against the enemy forces. Therefore, they had to send troops to kill. These 500 white platinum tier soldiers were all elites among his soldiers. As long as he did not have a death wish, it was not a problem for him to do such a small thing. Yes, my lord, the 500 white platinum tier soldiers immediately said respectfully. Chapter 372 Insight Defection, that surprised Zhou. 2. It was the duty of soldiers to obey orders, even though they did not know what their lord wanted to do. They only cared about doing it, and naturally did not think too much about it. Then they jumped onto the city wall. Under the dumbfounded gazes of the other soldiers of the Snow River City, they directly jumped off the city wall, that was more than 100 meters tall. Boom! 500 white platinum tier soldiers landed on the ground. Some soldiers directly withstood the impact of the fall with their bodies. There were also soldiers who controlled the power of wind, lightning, water, fire, and earth and landed lightly. For a moment, many soldiers and fog monsters on the battlefield looked at this group of mysterious soldiers who had suddenly arrived on the battlefield. The 500 soldiers did not care about their gazes. They landed on the ground and charged forward. Under the nurturing of the military merit system, their various skills and methods had long exceeded the range of ordinary soldier types. It could be said that, excluding the professional skills they already had, each of them had at least 10 to 20 non-class skills exchanged from the military merit system. These skills, it was enough for them to face all kinds of dangerous situations. Naturally, this included the current situation. Therefore, in the eyes of the other soldiers of the Snow River City, these 500 soldiers were simply like divine soldiers descending from the sky. Not only was his strength terrifying, there were also all kinds of methods. It was even a little fancy. They even saw a soldier using a crossbow. When the fog monster approached and wanted to engage in close combat, he casually threw the bow and arrow to the ground. Then he took out a snow-white saber from his waist. At the same time, his entire body was quickly covered in a layer of grayish-white stone armor. Then, he engaged in close combat with the fog monster. In the end, he slashed it to death. Then he picked up the crossbow and continued to shoot. Well, as a poison crossbow soldier, in order to prevent himself from being ambushed by the enemy, it was very reasonable for him to learn Gust's chaotic slash to counterattack, and also learn the stone armor technique to save his life. Right? On the walls of the Snow River City, when Li Yuangan and Zhangzhe saw the battle between the 500 soldiers, they looked at each other. This little guy was too rich. Was the skill book free? The two of them muttered in their hearts. These types of soldiers, even Li Yuangan, as the ruler of the kingdom, could not nurture it. After all, he did not have that many skill books for the soldiers to learn. At this moment, they saw Zhou raise his right hand in front of the city wall. Yellow Gold Tier Lord Talent. Insight Defection, activate. Boom. The next second, the bodies of more than 200,000 fog monsters stiffened. Then the expression in their eyes changed. They began to pretend to fight while quietly retreating. It was still very obvious that more than 1/10 of the fog monsters had suddenly stopped attacking. Not only were the two Scarlet Heroes guarding the back stunned. On the Snow River City, Li Yuangan and Zhangzhe, who had also noticed this change, were also stunned. The enemy's attack has suddenly weakened? What's going on? Both of them were stunned. Then they thought of something and suddenly looked at Zhou, who was standing in front of the city wall. An unbelievable thought appeared in their minds. Did he do that? However, he only raised his hand. On the other side, after Zhou activated Insight Defection, he looked at the Lord Talent hint. Prompt: you have activated your Lord's exclusive talent, Insight Defection. Insight Defection has taken effect. Lord Talent notification. A total of 124,765 Black Iron Tier Fog Monsters, 57,912 Green Bronze Tier Fog Monsters, 31,632 White Silver Tier Fog Monsters, 18,231 Yellow Gold Tier Fog Monsters, 5,712 White Platinum Tier Fog Monsters, 112 Diamond Tier Fog Monsters, and 5 Extraordinary Tier Fog Monsters have betrayed their lord's faction and become your loyal subordinates. Zhou looked excited. Before he came, he had already made a big estimate in his heart and knew how many targets he could incite to Insight Defection this time. However, when this moment really came, he could not help but feel excited. This was a total of 241,369 subordinates of the Fog Monster. His Blazing Sun Army and Monster Army only had a total of 220,000 soldiers. This Insight Defection was more than what he had. It was ridiculous. I didn't wake up at 3 in the morning to instigate Insight Defection in vain. I've made a killing this time. Zhou was overjoyed. After he returned to the territory, he would farm the monster ranch again. At that time, his military strength would completely exceed 500,000. This number was already half the military strength of a standard beginner kingdom. I'm getting closer and closer to the strength of a basic kingdom. Zhou thought. Soon, the 500 soldiers jumped back onto the city wall. Reporting to my lord, the mission is completed. They said respectfully. Well done. Zhou smiled and nodded. Lord of the Blazing Sun, did you do this? At this moment, Li Yuangan's surprised voice sounded behind him. Only after hearing His Majesty's words did Zhang Zhe realize that this extraordinary young man was the hot topic of discussion recently. The Lord of the Blazing Sun. As a lord of a foreign land, he was able to become famous in his kingdom. From the looks of it, there was indeed a reason. Zhang Zhe sighed. I did it. This is what I meant by small help. However, I can only use this help once a day. If I want to use it again, I'll have to wait until tomorrow. If your Majesty can resist until tomorrow, I can do it again then. Zhou said. No matter what, he had to fleece this kind of goodwill a few more times. No problem. I've already secretly sent the news to the Titan Kingdom and Netherbark Kingdom. If there are no surprises, they'll be here today. With their help, it's still easy to last until tomorrow. Towards the end, Li Yuangang couldn't help but laugh. He would never have thought that the savior of his kingdom would become his archenemy. Then please give the order to activate the spatial teleportation arrays. I'm going back with my subordinates. Zhou said. Sure. Li Yuangang nodded regretfully. He really wanted to stay with this young man, because the other party had really given him too many surprises. However, the activities of the Lord of all races set up by the Supreme could not be underestimated. He could not ruin the Lord of the Blazing Sun's plans. Then he ordered the various places to activate the spatial teleportation arrays. Wherever they passed, they were all allowed to pass without any reason. Seeing this, Zhou bade farewell to the two of them and went down the city tower. Then, he did not immediately rush to the spatial teleportation array. Instead, he left the Snow River City and flew in an empty direction. In an uninhabited wasteland outside the Snow River City, the 240,000 fog monsters that had been incited by Zhou's Insight Defection were gathered here. They were led by 5 powerful extraordinary tier fog monsters. Greetings, my lord. X5. When Zhou and the others appeared, the 5 extraordinary tier fog monsters immediately said respectfully, Did you have a smooth journey? Did the 2 Scarlet Heroes notice your departure? Zhou asked. It went well. And because the 4-armed Mara King, Taro and the Ice Soul Arrow Ghost, Wuxia extended the battle line, we chose to avoid their gazes and leave from the battlefield behind the Snow River City, so they didn't notice us for the time being. But as time goes on, they should find out soon enough. An extraordinary tier intermediate grade 3-headed demon flood dragon deputy commander said respectfully. It was the most powerful fog monster among the 5 of them. He was also their leader for the time being. Zhou acknowledged. There was no time to lose. It was time to leave. I should be safer if I participate in the final battlefield, right? Zhou thought to himself. Then he willed. A black ship appeared in the sky. It was the Black Ghost. Yesterday, when he planned to use insight defection, he had asked Wuxia to come over. It was all for this moment. Wuxia, bring us all into the spaceship and return to the Snow River City. Zhou ordered. Yes, my lord. Wuxia's voice sounded in Zhou's mind. Then it put everyone and the monsters into the spaceship and returned to the Snow River City. Then, it used the spatial teleportation array to return to Blazing Sun City. Chapter 373 White Silver Tier Lord Talent. Gift of the Machina. More than an hour later, Zhou and company finally returned to Blazing Sun City. When he got off the spaceship, he saw batches of subordinates of the fog monsters flying down from the spaceship. Then Wuxia sent people to lead them to the monster army base in the city. Zhou looked at the many subordinates of the fog monster, and then at the Black Ghost in the sky. Then, he frowned slightly as if he had discovered a problem. The Black Ghost was a little small. He thought. The limit of the Black Ghost could accommodate 200,000 people to live and survive in the spaceship for a year. Just now, he had placed 240,000 subordinates of the fog monster into the spaceship and filled it up. Not to mention that there were more than 200,000 soldiers in his territory. Obviously, the current Black Ghost was already starting to be unable to meet the needs of his troops. Should I upgrade Black Ghost to elementary grade? He couldn't help but think. The Black Ghost was undoubtedly the most convenient means of transportation for him. With the Black Ghost, the efficiency of him conquering other territories had increased by at least 10 times. Therefore, it was not impossible to upgrade it. In any case, it was only a creation of the Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent, Gift of the Machina. It would not take many Lord Talent crystal fragments to advance to the White Silver Tier. Then, he looked at his Lord Talent crystal fragments and realized that he had exactly 157 Green Bronze Tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. He could indeed fuse them into a White Silver Tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals. When Zhou saw this, he first asked Wuxia to make arrangements for these recruits. Then, he began to call out in his heart. Wuxia. Wuxia is here, great lord. Wuxia replied immediately. Zhou fell silent for a few seconds, as though he didn't know what to say. After a long while he said, You know that you're here because of my Lord Talent too, right? Now, I have a chance to increase my Lord Talent regarding the Black Ghost. But will you still be here after I level up? He had spent a lot of time with Wuxia, and they had developed some friendship. If Wuxia really disappeared because he upgraded his Lord Talent, Zhou might give up on upgrading. After all, he only wanted better transportation. This kind of question was not a judgment question with only one option. For example, on the World Channel, Zhou remembered that a lord had said that the neighboring country, where his territory was located, was a kingdom established by the intelligent life forms of the Machina race. He might be able to find another way to solve this problem, if he thought of a way himself. Therefore, since this could be done, then why did he have to make Wuxia disappear? There's an 80% chance that Wuxia will continue to exist. There's still a 20% chance that Wuxia will be replaced by a higher-level intelligent life form. After Wuxia found out about Zhou's problem, she immediately replied concisely, Can't you be sure? Zhou frowned slightly. Are you worried about me, my lord? Wuxia suddenly asked. Yeah, why? Zhou was stunned before saying, It's nothing. Wuxia just feels very happy. There was a happy smile in Wuxia's voice. Then she said, Wuxia suggests that the Lord upgrade his Lord Talent. Because 80% is only Wuxia's conservative estimate. This success rate might be higher. Okay. Wuxia had already said so. Zhou was not a hesitant person. Upon hearing this, he returned to his Lord Manor. In the Lord Manor. In the study, Zhou took out 100 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and placed them on the table. Then, he fused them into a white silver tier Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystal. Then he chose to use it. A text notification appeared. As you have 3 green bronze tier Lord Talents at the same time, Gnome Alchemy Workshop, Gift of the Machina, and Fighting God Full-Time Master. Please choose one to advance to. I choose to advance to the Gift of the Machina. Zhou's gaze paused on the Lord Talent of Fighting God's Full-Time Master for a few seconds before he decided. Even though it was good to be a Fighting God Full-Time Master, Zhou had not even used the 2 free classes that came with it, so he naturally did not need to level up for the time being. Speaking of which, this Lord Talent was really difficult to choose. If only it could change class at will. If that was the case, Zhou would now take up 2 class jobs and use it. Unfortunately, it could not be replaced at will. There were such restrictions. Zhou naturally couldn't choose 2 classes to take on the job. He would think about it when he met someone suitable in the future. In any case, he was not in a hurry to use them. Just as Zhou was thinking, a text notification appeared. Lord Talent has been chosen. Upgrading in progress. The next second, a familiar warm feeling came from between his eyebrows. A moment later, the warmth faded. A new text notification appeared. Lord Talent upgrade successful. Congratulations, your green bronze tier Lord Talent, Gift of the Machina, has been upgraded to white silver tier Lord Talent, Gift of the Machina. Your mythical tier Lord Talent effect is as follows: Lord Talent, Gift of the Machina, white silver tier. Gift of the Machina. There is a green bronze tier advanced grade spaceship, Starry Night, from the machinery race in your territory. It is a gift from the Machina race to the lords who participated in the fight for the position of Lord of all races. It also represents the friendship between the Machina race and you. Specific talent effect 1. The Starry Night is a testament to your friendship with the Machina race. Your diplomatic relationship with the Machina race has reached friendship. This function will be activated after establishing the kingdom. Specific talent effect 2. The Starry Night is the crystallization of technological wisdom of the mechanical clan, possessing an extraordinary superior intelligent life. Starry Night Goddess. A white silver tier advanced grade folded space function. A white silver tier advanced grade space warehouse. A diamond tier advanced grade spaceship defense. A white platinum tier advanced grade flight speed. A diamond tier advanced grade life detector with anti-reconnaissance radar. Diamond tier advance grade stealth. Extraordinary tier advanced grade positioning transmission. Extraordinary tier advanced grade research institute function. An extraordinary tier advanced grade automatic repair function. Specific talent effect 3. Starry Night uses the mist cores as its energy source. 1000 green bronze tier mist cores can allow Black Ghost to operate at full power for 24 hours. After reading it, Zhou's gaze landed on a series of functions on the Starry Night. It had everything that the Black Ghost had, and they were all upgraded versions. It also had things that Black Ghost didn't have. For example, the white silver tier advanced grade space warehouse, diamond tier advanced grade space invisibility, extraordinary tier advanced grade teleportation, extraordinary tier advanced grade research institute functions, and so on. Moreover, there were a total of 10 of them, not just one. Zhou nodded slightly. Not bad. He didn't level up in vain. However, there was no joy on his face. Then, she saw Zhou walk out of the study without a word. He came to the center of the courtyard and looked up at the sky. Wuxia, he said. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Wuxia is here, great lord. Wuxia's voice suddenly sounded. She was still as gentle and moving as before. Not only that, Zhou could hear a special feeling in these simple words. It was as if he was not listening to an intelligent life form, but a real girl. Then, Zhou remembered that the other party's intelligent life level had already increased from the original Diamond Tier Advanced Grade to Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. It was normal to have a sense of real life. How are you feeling now? When Zhou said this, a smile finally appeared on his face. He was glad. He was glad that he had not lost his friend Wuxia. Chapter 374 Astonishing Increase. 500,000 military forces. Wunya feels very good now. Wunya has already reached the level of an extraordinary tier advanced grade intelligent life form. I can already do what I couldn't do previously. For example, some low-level technological products. My lord, if you encounter one and feel that it's useful, you can send it to me. As long as it doesn't exceed Wunya's level, Wunya can analyze the other party's internal technology principle and manufacturing method and completely replicate it. The extraordinary tier advanced grade research institute function in the Starry Night was specially born for this. In addition, Wunya's Starry Night has also made great progress in spatial technology. The Starry Night under Wunya's command can accommodate 1 million soldiers for a year. Moreover, Wunya's new spatial warehouse can also accommodate 100 billion units of basic resources. Wunya's diamond tier advanced grade space is invisible. It can allow Wunya to hide in space. This way, unless the enemy has a way to sense space or explore space, they will never discover the Starry Night wearing the space invisibility cloak. In addition, Wunya's extraordinary tier advanced grade positioning teleportation is also very useful. As long as the teleportation anchor is set up at the destination in advance, the Starry Night can quickly be teleported to a place with a teleportation anchor, as long as it's less than 1,000,000 kilometers away from this destination. In addition, the Starry Night also has some small functions and new facilities. The Lord can slowly experience and understand these in the future. Wunya briefly explained her new ability. Zhou's eyes lit up. So this was what Wunya's new functions were like. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. First, let's talk about the function of the Research Institute. After hearing Wunya's words, Zhou immediately thought of using Wunya's Research Institute function to analyze the firearms he had obtained from the military industry lord. After all, it was not good to be controlled by others in terms of firepower. If he could master the craftsmanship of making firearms, he would not have to find the military industry lord to make them in the future. Military firearms were something after all. It was more at ease to use the products he created. Other than firearms, Zhou could also pay attention to whether there were any other technological products from the Cerulean planet when he visited the marketplace from now on. Then, he could buy it and hand it all over to Wunya, so that she could analyze and replicate it to increase the technological foundation of his Blazing Sun region. Then he thought for a while and suddenly asked Wunya, "Then can you analyze the Starry Night? Then, let our territory create the Starry Night in bulk." "Sure. My lord can also arrange some manpower and resources for me. This way, Wunya can build a Starry Night spaceship factory and set up one or more industrial assembly line facilities that can build the Starry Night spaceship. This way, the Lord's territory will have an endless supply of Starry Night spaceships." Wunya said calmly. However, these calm words made Zhou even more surprised. Wunya could even analyze the Starry Night's main body. Moreover, he could build a Starry Night spaceship factory that could continuously produce Starry Night spaceships. Oh my god. Zhou never expected that the White Silver Tier Lord talent gift of the Machina would give him such a huge gift, coupled with spatial invisibility, spatial warehouses, and an increase in the upper limit of life forms. These were what Zhou needed the most at the moment. This leveling up was simply a huge profit. "So Wunya, are you controlling these 10 Starry Nights alone now?" Zhou calmed down after a long time. Then, he suddenly thought of this and could not help but ask curiously, "Yes and no. I have been assigned a Diamond Tier Advanced Grade Artificial Intelligence, the Star. They have the ability to handle matters no less than a truly intelligent life form. They will help me manage these 10 Starry Nights and handle daily matters. And I'll take care of it when I'm needed. This way, we can save the Starry Night's resources to the greatest extent in case of emergencies." Wunya trailed off. Zhou clicked his tongue and nodded. He remembered that Wunya was a Diamond Tier Advanced Grade Intelligent life form when she was still the Ghost Princess. He did not expect that after advancing to the Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade, the Starry Night Goddess, She could casually create 10 intelligent programs comparable to intelligent life forms. It seemed that when you had really benefited a lot this time, they'll bring you to the final battlefield in a while. Just bring one starry night. Zhou thought for a few seconds and said to Wunya, if there was a spaceship like Starry Night on the final battlefield, it would be a great convenience whether it was escaping or chasing after the enemy. Yes, my lord. Wunya said respectfully. Zhou acknowledged. Half an hour later, Zhou first went to the golem lair to collect the 126 golems that had entered. Then, he led his men to clean up the time ruins and monster ranch. With the effect of the perfect loots and his titles, he obtained a total of 233,179 green bronze tier mist cores, 99,635 white silver tier mist cores, 51,223 yellow gold tier mist cores, and 28,726 white platinum tier mist cores. 102,312 soldier type class change certificates, 4,179 sword shield soldier recruitment book, 4,002 Puteo soldiers recruitment books, 4,401 poison crossbow soldier recruitment books, 384 elemental archer recruitment books, 13,563 Aurora cavalry recruitment books, 17,500 Violent Storm Spirit recruitment books, 17,500 Violent Storm Spirit class change certificates, 45 Proof of Legion fragments, 39,631 True Faith tier Scarlet crystals, 5,712 Pious tier Scarlet crystals, 4,336 Fanatic tier Scarlet crystals, 12 White Platinum tier and Yellow Gold tier mount contracts. As for loots such as the Light Drawing Crystal, the Tree Core Gem, and the Elemental Gem, there was no need to elaborate. He threw the excess loots into the marketplace and sold them. Zhou took a look at the deal that had been announced yesterday. As expected, it was already sold out. He looked at the transaction results. 7,531,697,123 black iron tier mist cores. Zhou's eyes widened. More than 5 billion black iron tier mist cores. My god. If he handed it to the heavenly mist treasure bag, it would be equivalent to 75 legendary tier mist cores. The 1 million skill books and 1 million equipment yesterday did not disappoint him. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. However, from another perspective, it could also be seen that the lords indeed valued the final battlefield. Then, he stopped thinking and took the 44,029 recruitment books he had just obtained to the location of the Gate of Summoning. Half an hour later, all the new soldiers were summoned and joined the Blazing Sun army under him. At this point, the number of soldiers under Zhou officially exceeded 500,000, reaching 514,408 soldiers. It was comparable to the strength of half a basic kingdom. It was even more than the Aurora Kingdom's current military strength. Moreover, the quality of their military strength might even surpass the Aurora Kingdom's. Chapter 375 Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade 36 Forging Styles. The excited Carter Kim. From now on, I can be considered to have a foundation amongst the kingdoms. Zhou looked at the 500,000 soldiers he controlled inside. Once upon a time, when he first found out that the Taiyan Kingdom was not far from his territory, and that the Aurora Kingdom, as his neighbor, could not resist the Taiyan Kingdom, he was extremely worried. That was because once the Aurora Kingdom was destroyed and occupied by the Taiyan Kingdom, then the next step was for the Taiyan Kingdom to clean up the surrounding lord factions of the Supreme Will. Zhou's Blazing Sun territory would inevitably become the target of the Taiyan Kingdom. It was for this reason. That was why he would open the Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Kingdom Tower to the Aurora Kingdom. He wanted to use this opportunity to let the Aurora Kingdom hold on for a while longer, so that he could stall for time. And now, he had 500,000 elite soldiers under him. There were also 2 heroes with extraordinary tier combat power, Wuxia and Nazario. There were also Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Aurora Kingdom Tower, Greedy Wolf Howling Moon Array, and other trump cards. With this strength, even if the Taiyan kingdom came in full force, he would have the strength to fight. The shadow that shrouded his head was finally dispersed by him. How could he not be happy? At this moment, he suddenly saw the marketplace function blink. He opened it and realized that the transaction he had just posted had been sold out. He had directly obtained more than 250 million black iron tier mist cores. This made Zhou raise his eyebrows. So fast. In the past, even though such transaction involving the transfer of soldier types was sold very quickly, it was far inferior to today. It seemed that the opening of the final battlefield had already made many lords unable to sit still. Zhou did not mind. He put these black iron tier mist cores into the heavenly mist treasure bag and looked at the gate of summoning again, preparing for today's daily summoning. A text notification appeared. Prompt: do you want to summon immediately? Yes, Zhou said. The next second, the gate of summoning suddenly lit up with a bright white light. Then a large number of subjects walked out. After more than half an hour, only then did 725 new subjects walk out of the gate of summoning. Greetings, my lord. X725. The 725 new subjects said respectfully. Welcome to Blazing Sun City. Zhou nodded. Then, he asked all the professionals to step forward and realized that he had summoned 40 professionals this time. Among them were 1 yellow gold tier intermediate grade cavalryman, 1 yellow gold tier intermediate grade sword shield soldier, 1 yellow gold tier intermediate grade water element mage, and 1 yellow gold tier intermediate grade bowman. There were also 5 yellow gold tier elementary grade Puteo soldiers, 3 yellow gold tier elementary grade martial artists, and 3 yellow gold tier elementary grade heavy earth shield soldiers. The rest were green bronze tier and black iron tier life professionals and combat professionals. Zhou was a little surprised. Had his luck exploded today, under normal circumstances, he should only be able to summon 24 professionals. The other professionals that he summoned were all freeloaders. He did not expect to summon 40 professionals in one go today. Moreover, yellow gold tier professionals were all combat professionals and military professionals. Could it be that the gate of summoning knew that he was going to battle on the battlefield of the end today, so it specially sent him a friendly aid? Zhou thought to himself in amusement. However, he knew naturally it was not what he thought. It was most likely because his luck had really exploded that he summoned so many professionals in one go. He didn't mind. He now had more than 57,000 yellow gold tier professionals in the army. Therefore, he was no longer as excited as before when facing these newly summoned yellow gold tier soldiers. He asked a soldier to bring these military professionals to join the Blazing Sun army. Then, he went to the Lord shop alone. In front of the Lord shop. Old Zhou. Let's look at today's new stock. Zhou looked at Zhou Qingmin, who was cooking like a family man, and said with a toothache. No matter what, the Lord shop was a unique mythical tier lord talent. However, this shop owner's behavior made Zhou, who came here every time, feel like he had come to an ordinary small shop. The next time he came, if a wife who claimed to be his wife suddenly appeared beside old Zhou, he would probably not find it funny at all. Coming. Zhou Qingmin washed his hands, took off the apron around his waist, and hurried over. Then he took out 3 items from under the counter. When he saw the first item, Zhou fell silent. That was because it was the Puteo used by a black iron tier elementary grade Puteo soldiers. In order to prevent himself from seeing wrongly, Zhou specially looked at its attribute information and realized that it was indeed an ordinary black iron tier elementary grade Puteo. Zhou. What else could he say? This was the characteristic of the Lord shop's products, random. Zhou could not decide either. He took a deep breath and looked at the other 2 items. He hoped that these 2 items would not disappoint him. The second item was a book. Zhou picked it up and looked at it. Treasure. Extraordinary tier advanced grade 36 forging styles. Treasure grade. Extraordinary tier advanced grade. Treasure effect. After using it, you can obtain the inheritance of the blacksmith class from Master Military Craftsman Jibin Vela, and immediately become an extraordinary tier advanced grade blacksmith. Treasure description. A product from the Lord shop. It contains the skills of an extraordinary tier advanced grade master. When Zhou saw this, he gasped slightly. Good God! A book could actually directly create an extraordinary tier advanced grade blacksmith. What a ridiculous treasure! He wondered how those master blacksmiths who had worked hard their entire lives to become extraordinary tier advanced grade would feel when they saw this treasure. As for the source of this extraordinary tier advanced grade 36 forging styles, Zhou thought for a long time before remembering it. He had taken in a talent attracted by reputation rating some time ago. His name was Carter Kim, and he was a yellow gold tier advanced grade blacksmith with the bloodline of a mountain giant. Among the other party's abilities was the extraordinary tier advanced grade 36 forging styles skill. At that time, the other party was still a little shy. However, at that time, Zhou did not care about the other party's personality. He even handed over all the blacksmith work in the territory to the other party, and let him be in charge of the planning and development of the blacksmith professionals in the territory, as well as the manufacturing and repair of the soldiers' equipment. And the other party did not disappoint him. Now the manufacturing and repairing of all the equipment of his soldiers were done by him, and the blacksmiths, under his command. And it was done quite well. Not only was there no problem at all, but there were also occasional innovations that made the soldiers' armor, weapons, and other equipment stronger. In less than half a month, the other party had become the leader in the hearts of all the blacksmiths in his territory. Furthermore, the blacksmith's profession level had also reached white platinum tier advanced grade. It was said that recently, the blacksmiths in the territory were preparing to establish a blacksmith guild that belonged to the Blazing Sun territory. Carter Kim was the only candidate in their hearts for the president. Regarding this matter, Zhou naturally would not interfere, because Carter Kim was also one of his dead loyal subjects. He was naturally willing to support his own people. Zhou looked at the inheritance book and called someone over to call Carter Kim over. Soon, Carter Kim came over. Greetings, my lord, Carter Kim said respectfully. He was from the gnome race and looked delicate and gentle. If he wasn't the other party's lord, who would have thought that not only did the other party have the wild mountain giant bloodline in his body, but he also had a passionate heart that was passionate about swinging sledgehammers? Zhou did not waste any time and directly handed the treasure to the other party. He was not interested in being a blacksmith. After all, he didn't even have much time to cultivate as a martial artist. How could he have the time to be distracted by other things? Handing it to Jibin Vela's last disciple was the best choice. When Carter Kim took the book in a daze and saw its ability, he was stunned. My lord, this. He was still a young man. But when he suddenly saw this inheritance book, he immediately became a little incoherent. Chapter 376, Zhou's first mount. Dragon Horse Blazing Sun. This is a treasure I just obtained recently. But don't let your imagination run wild. I didn't get it from your teacher. Zhou said. Usually, if such an inheritance book appeared, it meant that either the original person had already given up or might even be dead. Only then would such an inheritance appear. The most typical example was the Heroic Spirit Inheritance of the Night Temple, Heroic Spirit Hall. Of course, there were also very few cases where such a legacy book could be created. For example, if a life form was willing to spend most of their life forcefully writing an inheritance book, it was also possible. Or some extremely expensive secret technique. However, this inheritance book naturally did not belong to the above situation. Carter Kim heaved a sigh of relief. Take this inheritance book and use it. Extraordinary tier experts have appeared in our territory. Therefore, we urgently need an extraordinary tier blacksmith. Control it well. Don't disappoint me. Zhou patted the other party's shoulder. Even though he could use the Lord talent of the King of Loots to obtain extraordinary tier equipment by killing diamond tier enemies, this method was ultimately unstable and too random. It was not as practical as having a true extraordinary tier blacksmith in the territory to specialize in making equipment. The other party was not old, but from what he had done previously, Zhou was still willing to entrust him with important tasks. Yes, my lord. I will not let you down, my lord. Carter Kim knelt on one knee and said excitedly. As a blacksmith, he naturally knew how precious such a treasure was. Moreover, the Lord actually gave this treasure to him without hesitation. It could be seen how much trust the Lord had in him. He must not disappoint his Lord. Carter Kim thought silently. Zhou did not say anything. He helped him up and chatted with him for a while before letting him leave. When he turned around, he realized that old Zhou had gone back to cooking. Zhou. He shook his head unconcerned and looked at the third item. It was a skill book. However, it was not an ordinary skill book. It was a hero skill book. Heroic skills? Can I learn even if I'm not a hero? Zhou was puzzled. Then he picked it up and looked at it. Hero skill. Summon Dragon Horse level. Yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Summon Dragon Horse skill effect. The user awakens the golden dragon bloodline in his body and summons a dragon horse with the golden dragon bloodline as his mount to fight with the user. Summon Dragon Horse? Isn't that the same as Wu Xin's hero skill, Dragon Horse Summon Blinding Light? Zhou raised his eyebrows. But then again, he had yet to have an official mount. Nazario and Auguste were both willing to let him be a dragon knight, but Zhou had always treated them as friends, so he rarely flew on them unless it was an emergency. Most of the time, he used mechanostriders that could fly to travel, or they could travel directly with the soldiers. It did not expect. This time, the merchandise directly gave him a hero skill. If he could really master this hero skill, it would be a good help to him. Whether it was riding on the road, flying in the air, or fighting alongside its master, the dragon horse was quite powerful in all three aspects. Still, I'm not a hero. I can't learn this hero skill, right? Zhou looked up at Zhou Qingmin. When Zhou Qingmin heard this, he chuckled as he added salt. Normally it wouldn't work. However, this is the Lord's shop. The goods that appear in the Lord's shop are all prepared for you, Lord, so you can naturally learn them. I see. You are putting too much salt in it. Zhou said. Zhou Qingmin looked at his half-empty salt bag, and then at the stainless steel pot that was sprinkled with salt. His face froze. How much are these three goods? Zhou's voice sounded. The first product is worth 10 black iron tier mist cores. The second item is worth 10 extraordinary tier mist cores, and 1 extraordinary tier territory token. The third item is worth 20 extraordinary tier mist cores, and 2 extraordinary tier territory tokens. Zhou Qingmin decisively gave up on the dish and walked to the counter. So cheap. Compared to the previous 2 items. Zhou sighed with emotion. However, when he thought of the hundreds of legendary tier mist cores in his heavenly mist treasure bag, Zhou felt a little helpless. To think that he had prepared so many legendary tier mist cores. He thought that he could buy them all. What a waste of my sense of anticipation. I want the inheritance book that has already been taken away, and this hero skill book. Zhou took out 33 legendary tier mist cores and placed them on the counter. Thank you for your business. Zhou Qingmin chuckled and put away the mist core. Zhou nodded and did not say anything else. He directly learned this hero skill. After he finished learning, he suddenly had a feeling that his bloodline seemed to be connected to something. Zhou closed his eyes. Gradually, his body emitted a faint golden light. Golden dragon scales and golden light appeared on his body. Soon, the golden light suddenly left his body and formed a golden door that was 3 to 4 meters tall in front of him. A dragon horse that was emitting a dazzling golden light and covered in golden dragon scales jumped out and landed beside Zhou. Then, it circled around Zhou as if it was trying to please him, occasionally letting out a cheerful cry. When Zhou opened his eyes, he saw this scene. He smiled and stroked the dragon horse. When the dragon horse saw this, it stood quietly on the spot and allowed its master to stroke it. Wu Xin's dragon horse is called Blinding Light. You shall be called Blazing Sun. Zhou looked at the other party's resplendent figure and immediately thought of this name. At the same time, just as he finished naming the hero skill, Summoning Dragon Horse, in his skill pane immediately blurred for a second before turning into hero skill. Summoning Dragon Horse Blazing Sun. When Blazing Sun heard his master's words, he cried out excitedly again. At the same time, he kept stepping on the ground with his golden hooves. Clearly, he was very satisfied with this name. Zhou smiled when he saw this. Then, he mounted his horse and rushed towards the army base. Legion base. After Zhou and the others arrived, the blazing sun under his command immediately attracted the attention of countless people. Is this the Lord's mount? It's similar to Lord Wu Xin's blinding light. Why do I feel that his lordship's horse is better looking than blinding lights? The light on blinding light's body is not as dazzling as this horse. It does seem brighter. Bai Yin, Wu Xian, and the others also saw blazing Sunday Xiaoxian had come with them. My lord, this should also be a dragon horse, right? Moreover, it's also a dragon horse with the golden dragon bloodline? Wu Xian marveled. He, who had the bloodline of the golden dragon, could feel it. The potential of this dragon horse should be much higher than his blinding light. Zhou, who had already dismounted from his horse, nodded with a smile as he held the reins. This dragon horse is so beautiful. Xiaoxian looked at the blazing sun with sparkling eyes. It's called Blazing Sunday. Zhou smiled. He looked at Xiaoxian and suddenly had an idea. This little guy was the possessor of the blessed star talent. If he brought it to the final battlefield, it might have an unexpected effect. When he thought of this, he immediately asked if the other party was willing to go with him. Xiaoxian was naturally adventurous. He immediately nodded in excitement and agreed. Zhou smiled and nodded. Then he looked at Wu Xian and asked, "Are the soldiers ready?" "Everything's ready." Bai Yin, Wu Xian, and the others immediately said solemnly. Zhou acknowledged. Next, they were just waiting for the final battlefield to open. He opened the world channel and read the Lord's message while waiting for the final battlefield to open. At this moment, more lords on the world channel had already decided to go to the final battlefield. Only a few lords were still conflicted. Just like Zhou, these lords who were preparing to go were all nervous, excited, and expectant as they waited for the battlefield of the end to begin. Time passed slowly. When 6 o'clock arrived, Zhou clicked on the icon of the final battlefield in the Lord Battlefield function, without hesitation, and prepared to enter it. Chapter 377 The Final Battlefield. A line of blood-colored text appeared. Please choose the territory subordinates and territory props you want to bring along. The next second, a virtual screen appeared in front of Zhou. It showed the territory subordinates and territory items that he could carry. That includes his 500,000 soldiers, Carol Moira from the shelter of the goddess of life, various supplies, such as health potions, energy potions, golden corpse water, mist energy cannons for war machines, and even the fragments of the chaos energy airdrop gun carriage that he had previously seized. Is it like the Lord Battlefield? Zhou raised his eyebrows. Then, he began to choose the subordinates and items he wanted to take away without thinking too much. First of all, the Blazing Sun Army and the Monster Army had to be brought along. However, he naturally would not bring all 510,000 soldiers. After all, he still had to leave some soldiers to protect Blazing Sun City and Kingdom Beginning City. After thinking for a while, Zhou chose to bring 300,000 soldiers. Among them were 100,000 Black Iron Tier soldiers, 100,000 Green Bronze Tier soldiers, 50,000 White Silver Tier soldiers, 40,000 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers, 10,000 White Platinum Tier soldiers, 100 Diamond Tier soldiers, and 5 Extraordinary Tier soldiers. A total of 300,105 soldiers. These were most of the elite soldiers under his command. The remaining 200,000 soldiers stayed behind to guard Blazing Sun City and Kingdom Beginning City. They were in charge of protecting his territory and dealing with unexpected situations. Then, he chose the 800 clergy of the shelter led by Carol Moeli. They were responsible for the soldiers' treatment and resurrection. After them were Nazario, Auguste, Bai Yin, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, and the other elites of the Blazing Sun. After that, Zhou chose a large number of subordinates and items, such as the Starry Knight, the Mechanostrider, the Faith Divine Crystal, the Alchemy Telescope, the Life Potion, the Energy Potion, and other items. to prepare for any unexpected situations that might occur in the final battlefield. In the end, he searched for a long time and realized that there was no Aurora Kingdom Tower. It seems that the Aurora Kingdom Tower has been recognized as a territory building by the Supreme Will. It can't leave the territory and be brought to the final battlefield. Zhou thought regretfully. If the duration of the final battlefield was longer, Zhou would have wanted Zhao Chong to guard the final battlefield and create the Aurora Kingdom Tower on the spot. However, 3 days was too short. He could only give up on this idea. Then he checked the territory subordinates and leaders' props he brought one last time. After confirming that there were no missing people and props, he clicked on the confirmation below. The next second, a text notification appeared. Entering the final battlefield. At the same time, Zhou, Nazario, Auguste, Baiyan Wuxian Feng Luo, and the group of soldiers and supplies suddenly disappeared. The final battlefield. A blood-red sun hung high in the sky. Heaven and earth were covered in blood. On the ground, the remains of countless machines, the skeletons of living beings that were in a miserable state, and the blood-filled black and red river of blood. When Zhou and the others descended into this world, they saw this spectacular scene. What a strong smell of blood. Baiyan frowned slightly. She was now a general who had experienced hundreds of thousands of wars. In the face of an ordinary bloody scene, she could already be indifferent. But in this world, it was naturally not something that could be created by a simple battle between hundreds of thousands of life forms. It was probably only the death of trillions of life forms that could create such a blood-colored world. In front of Baiyan, Zhou was looking at the text notification in front of him. You have already relocated to the final battlefield. The final battlefield's ranking has been activated. Your Lord Battlefield rank is Mythical Tier Advanced Grade, 160 points. Conversion in progress. Conversion successful. Your basic ranking points for the final battlefield are 11. 6 billion yuan. It's starting. Zhou looked at his basic ranking points and thought to himself. With a thought, he summoned the rankings of the final battlefield. He looked over. Original Spirit Race, True Lord level, 12,150,000,000. The final battlefield ranking, first. Chaos Gods Race, Great One Lord level, 11,950,000,000. The final battlefield ranking, second. Cerulean Planet Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun, level, 11, 6 billion. Ranking on the final battlefield, third. Shepherd's God Race, Heaven Chasing Lord rank, 11, 5 billion. The final battlefield ranking, fourth. It's temporarily the same ranking as the Lord Battlefield. However, after today, it should change drastically. Zhou thought. He closed the rankings and looked around. Soon he saw something. He took a dozen steps forward, then squatted down and picked up a blood-colored crescent-shaped weapon from under his feet. This weapon was very complete and looked like it had been left behind by an expert. The blood on it made Zhou feel a faint pressure just by approaching it. This battlefield had probably been around for countless years. However, the blood still had a suppressive aura. It could be seen how terrifying the owner of the blood must have been when he was alive. However, before Zhou could take a second look, he saw the weapon that looked like a crescent moon shovel gradually disintegrate into countless powder. It passed through the gaps between his fingers and landed on the ground. Zhou raised his eyebrows. He got the soldiers to check the blood-colored weapons scattered around him, and found that these blood-colored weapons could still remain the same when no one touched them. However, once a life form picked it up, it would immediately turn into dust and dissipate. What a pity! If these weapons and equipment can still be used, just picking up these weapons and equipment will be enough to make me rich. After Zhou knew the results of the soldiers, he felt that it was a pity. At this moment, he looked at a forest in the distance. With his powerful sixth senses, he could clearly sense that there were about 10,000 life forms gathered in the forest. However, the other party seemed to want to hide himself, so his vital signs were hidden very well. If not for the fact that his sixth senses from the chaos human race were too powerful, he might not have discovered them. There are about 10,000 unknown lords there. His strength is average, Destroy them. Zhou Zhou transmitted his voice to Bai Yun and Wu Xian. Since he had come to the final battlefield, Zhou Zhou did not intend to be soft-hearted. What's more, the other party did not choose to retreat quietly. Instead, they hid there secretly. It was not impossible that they did not have the intention to secretly find an opportunity to ambush them, even though the possibility was very small. However, Zhou Zhou naturally did not want to tolerate a group of people of foreign race life forms wandering under his nose. He would kill anyone if he had to in this place, unless it was a life form of the same race. Zhou Zhou would not show mercy. One of them had the ghost god military morale, and the other had the desired military morale. Upon hearing their lord's order, they naturally communicated with their subordinates through mental communication without hesitation. Then, 5,000 yellow gold level violent storm spirits suddenly summoned wind spirits and thunder spirits, and began to control the wind and thunder. Not long after, a total of 5,000 death violent storms suddenly descended in the area Zhou Zhou had specified. Hoo. Right on the heels of that, a large number of screams and wails could be heard as blue blood splattered everywhere. Blue-skinned life forms that were 2 to 3 meters tall were swept up by the violent storm and died in it. Lines of kill notifications appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. Chapter 378 Blue Blood Race. Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade Chaos Human Bloodline. Your subject Violent Storm Spirit. Zhaozha killed a Green Bronze Tier Intermediate Grade Blue Blood Clan member. Promotion Energy plus 40. Loots Condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your subject's Violent Storm Spirit. Zhaozha has received an additional 800 points of promotion energy. Your subject Violent Storm Spirit. Sun Anshuan killed a White-Silver Tier Advanced Grade Blue Blood Race member. Promotion Energy plus 200. Loots Condensed. Blessing from God of War. Your leader Storm Spirit. Zhaozha gets an extra 4,000 points of promotion energy. Your subject Violent Storm Spirit. Wang Han killed a Yellow Gold Elementary Grade Blue Blood Lord. Lord Lan Yu, Lord of all races. Plus 3,000 promotion energy. Loots Condensed. Blessing of the War God. Your subject Violent Storm Spirit. Wang Han has received an additional 60,000 promotion energy points. Congratulations, Lord of the Blazing Sun, for successfully killing the Lord of the Blue Blood Race. Lord Lan Yu, Lord of all races. The Lord's rank is Yellow Gold Tier Intermediate Grade. You have obtained 5,000 basic ranking points in the final battlefield. Soon, the more than 10,000 blue blood life forms were all killed by the Violent Storm Spirit. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he looked at his ranking. Naturally, there were no changes. He walked forward and came to the corpse of a Blue Blood Clan member, who was obviously much taller than the other Blue Blood Clan members. Zhou Zhou looked at him. A text notification appeared. Item name, Blue Blood Lord, Lord Lan Yu's corpse. Item level, Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade. Item effect, contains unextracted loots. Item description, Lord of the myriad races killed by the soldiers of Blazing Sun City. Loots drop rate, 5 Yellow Gold Tier Mist Core drop rate, 100%. 1 Origin Crystal drop rate, 100%. 1 Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade Equipment Jade Spirit Spear, drop rate, 10%. 1 Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade Skill Book Flying, drop rate, 5%. 1 Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade Skill Book Shadowless Spear Skill, drop rate, 4%. 1 Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade Bloodline, Blue Bloodline drop rate, 3%. 1 Shallow Faith Tier Elementary Grade Skill Crystal drop rate, 1%. 1 Racial Growth Skill Book Telekinesis drop rate, 0. 1%. 1 White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Racial Talent Sphere, drop rate, 0. 0.001%. 6 Black Iron Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, drop rate, 0%. After Zhou Zhou saw the spoils of war, a smile appeared on his face. It was actually a race lord with bloodline loots. It might just be a Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade bloodline, but there would still be meat on a mosquito's leg. The final battlefield was dangerous, but if he was lucky, it would be a top-grade treasure land for him. After all, the lords who dared to come here more or less had some ability, or were from extraordinary races. And a lord of such an extraordinary race was the best nourishment for him, to increase the level of his chaos human bloodline. Zhou placed his hand on his corpse. A text notification appeared. Lord Talent notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, Perfect Loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of Strongest Lord. The number of loots has increased by 20%. Lord Talent notification. You have obtained Perfect Loots, 6 Mist Cores, White Platinum Tier. 1 Origin Crystal, 1 Equipment. 3 Pattern Blood Jade Spear, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. 1 Flying Skill Book, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. 1 Multiple Shadowless Spear Skill Book, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. 1 Blue Blood Race Bloodline, White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. 1 Faith Divine Crystal, True Faith Tier. 1 Race Skill Book, Telekinesis. Enhanceable. 1 Race Talent Ball, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade. 7 Lord Talent Fragment, Green Bronze. Whoosh. The Lord of the Blue Blood Clan, who had just entered the final battlefield, turned into countless loots and dropped at Zhou's feet. He began to inspect the loots. Among them were the Mist Core, Origin Crystal, Faith Divine Crystal, Lord Talent Crystal Fragment, Skill Book and other items. Needless to say, Zhou put them away. Zhou only valued the Blue Blood Race Bloodline, and the Blue Blood Race Skill and Race Talent. He looked over. Bloodline name. Blue Blood Race Bloodline. Bloodline level. White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade. Bloodline effect. After absorbing it, the user can obtain the White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Bloodline, Blue Blood Race Bloodline. After fusing with this bloodline, the user will gradually awaken some of the Blue Blood Race's racial abilities during the growth process. Prompt. By fusing 100 White Platinum Tier Elementary Grade Blue Bloodline, you can obtain 1 Diamond Tier Elementary Grade, 3rd Class Blue Bloodline. Chaos Human Race's Bloodline Optimization Notice. After the Chaos Humans absorb it, they can remove the characteristics of the Blue Blood Race's physique that is slightly heat-resistant. Racial Skill Name. Telekinesis, Skill Quality. Enhanceable, Skill Description. A life form of a race with this racial skill can transform the mental strength in their minds into telekinesis that can control matter in reality and move things through space. Treasure Name. Racial Talent Sphere. Intermediate Grade Mental Potential. Treasure Grade. Diamond Tier Advanced Grade. Treasure Effect. After using it, you can greatly increase your current mental strength and obtain intermediate grade mental potential talent. This talent can allow your mental potential to far exceed ordinary living beings. Every time you make a breakthrough in mental strength, you can always obtain a higher upper limit of mental strength. Treasure Description. The racial talent of a 3rd-class blue-blooded noble. After using it, you will have the racial talent of that race. Note: this talent's breakthrough buff will last until you break through to Diamond Tier Advanced Grade. Intermediate Grade Mental Potential? When Zhou saw this race talent, he was immediately pleasantly surprised. He had already grasped elementary grade mental potential a long time ago. However, for a long time after that, he did not have any channels to obtain the subsequent high-level potential talent. As time passed, he almost forgot about this talent. He did not expect to meet her today, but even so, he did not learn it. This was because he was about to absorb the bloodline of the blue blood race. At that time, he would naturally awaken the intermediate grade mental potential talent. Talents could not be stacked with enhancement. Therefore, he gave up on studying. Wouldn't it be better for him to awaken directly? At this moment, the soldiers on the battlefield were using the 1000 yellow gold tier advanced grade conqueror's blast furnaces that they had purchased not long ago to retrieve their loots. In less than a moment, the extraction of the 10,000 blue blood corpses was complete. He did not say much about the other loots. Just the blue blood race bloodline, racial talent, and racial skill alone had dropped 11,236 copies. Zhou first fused 100 portions of the blue blood bloodline and obtained a third-class blue blood bloodline of the lower diamond level. Then, he fused 9,900 portions of the blue-blooded race's bloodline and obtained a second-class blue-blooded race bloodline that was inferior to the extraordinary tier. If he wanted to improve further, he would need 990,000 portions of the blue blood race's bloodline. Zhou naturally did not have that much blue blood bloodline, so he chose to absorb it directly. You have absorbed one portion of second-class blue blood noble bloodline, extraordinary tier elementary grade. Your chaos human bloodline has unearthed more potential and advanced to the yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Your sixth senses ability has been strengthened. You have awakened extraordinary tier advanced grade second-class blue-blooded noble talent. Advanced mental potential. You have awakened extraordinary tier advanced grade second-class blue-blooded noble talent. Low-level telepathy. Your racial talent, advanced mental potential, extraordinary tier advanced grade, has been enhanced by the chaos human bloodline and has been upgraded to special mental potential, epic tier advanced grade. Your racial talent, low-level telepathy, extraordinary tier advanced grade, has been enhanced by the chaos human bloodline and has been promoted to advanced telepathy, epic tier advanced grade. You have mastered the enhanceable racial skill telekinesis. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.